What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is the 7th part of a story where Issei became the true silver dragon god of hope and fate. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now, let's get into part 7. Cocktail Gastronomy Kayasui Tokyo. 1 hour before Issei's rebirth. Late at night in the Minato district of Tokyo was a small bar that sold fairly good quality alcohol, with only 2 women inside. The first being a woman that seemed to look like she was around her early to mid-20s. She had short flaxen hair and violet eyes. The woman had a voluptuous body. She wore a long-sleeved brown knitted sweatshirt, a black skirt and long black stockings and brown dress shoes. Takes a sip. Smiles in delight. Ah. It's so good to go out at night in the town to have a drink with one of the girls. Smirks. HMPH. I would be considered one of the girls as the kids would say it, Lady Venelana. Venelana. Pouts. Nonsense, given how long we've known each other. I do consider you more than just as my contracted mage, but as a very close friend. Rin. Enough with that whole lady this and madam, my goodness, we're a bar not a soiree. The person that Venelana spoke to was a tall beautiful middle-aged woman in her early 30s with long black hair with grey fringes. She had aqua blue eyes. She wore a crimson red jacket with a black turtleneck underneath. She wears a black pants and long leather boots. Rin. Smirks. HMPH. Is that so? Though to be honest, I would have thought you would do this sort of thing with Lady Citri, since you two are best friends. Venelana. Sighs. Pouts. Maya and I may be best friends, but she would never want to do something like this or let me go along with it. Smiles sadly. She honestly is all being a proper noble woman, and that we must act that way both out in public and behind closed doors. Twirls her glass. Which doesn't get me wrong. I do understand how important it is for someone like me to act a certain way, and I'm proud to be a woman of status and rank. I do appreciate Maya for always keeping me in that state of mind for so many centuries, but I just wished she would cut loose sometimes. I mean, I know that she knows how stressful it can be for someone of nobility. People think that it is a life of luxury with people doing what you say at a moment's notice. But that is only on the surface and a small part of it. In truth, there is so much responsibility that goes with it, and there's the fact that there are so many who look up to you and rely on you for pretty much everything. So it wouldn't hurt for at least once in a blue moon that we can go out and live like how commoners do it and live a day without any real worries or responsibility, right? Smiles weakly. Sorry for ranting, it's just that it's not every day I can properly talk like this and speak my true thoughts. Rin. Giggles. Foo. Smiles sadly. It's fine, Venelana, like you said, it's not like you can speak your mind so freely so often. Besides, I know exactly how you feel, always acting like a person who people always expect you to be, and not always truly being to express who you truly are. Venelana. Smiles softly. You sure do, and that's what I like about you, Rin, you get me, and that's why I consider you like my second best friend. Maya is my first best friend who is mature, calm, and always level-headed, and then there's you, my second best friend who is easygoing, casual, honest. Even brutally honest and fun. In a way, you two do help keep me balanced out personality-wise, not too formal, but not too casual. Not too strict, but not too crazy at the same time. Rin. Smiles softly. Well, I guess I should say that I'm honored that you see me in such a light, Venelana. Venelana. Smiles. Now then, enough about me, how have you been? Concern. It's been like 4 months since we last saw each other. I could imagine it's been difficult for you being a top-tier mage consultant for almost every mage association in the world, especially for your age. Rin. Smiles. The same as always, busy. Serious. Especially during these last few months have been kind of hectic. Venelana. Curious. How so? Rin. Serious. I don't know if I should tell you this, but since your husband's family is close to Mephisto, I guess I can tell you this. Venelana. Curious. Rin. Serious. For the past few months, magicians from multiple high-status mage associations have gone rogue, and some of them are of high status and the skill and power to go up against high-class demons easily. Those same magicians have even gone as far as to steal items and precious research materials from their respective association. Venelana. Curious. Do they know what their plans are? Rin. Sighs. Eyes half open. They're magicians, there are no doubt a mountain of reasons for their planning, but most likely they were tired of being restricted by the Mage Association. Serious. The association had made plenty of rules in order to help maintain the balance from humanity's side of things, as such certain types of research into different types of lost or forbidden class spells are strictly forbidden. Venelana. Serious. That is true, since one of the main goals for you mages is to be able to wield magic that is on par with us supernatural beings, especially us demons, since that's where the majority of your magic system was based off of. Rin. Serious. On top of which we essentially want to reach that level of magic in which we don't have to rely on formulas and calculations in order to conduct the spell that we so desire, just simply imagine it and it will come true. Venelana. Serious. So. What are the mage associations gonna do about it? Rin. Serious. They asked my husband and Takaki to go investigate it. So far they could only find that they are forming their own group now and joining some shady organization. But besides that, nothing. Concern. But I'm just worried about Shiru and what could happen. From what I can tell, these mages and the group that they are with are no joke. Venelana. Concern. I can understand your concern. Believe me, I would feel the exact same way if Zeodicus were still fighting like back during the Great War. Smiles softly. But you shouldn't worry too much. I mean, your husband is one of the 2 strongest humans in the world, and thanks to him having Avalon implanted inside of him, he keeps on fighting as if he was still in his youth. Plus there is your stepson, who is also incredibly strong despite being in his early 20s, that is with him. Rin. Smiles softly. I guess you're right, but I can't help but worry, since he has a tendency to run into danger like an idiot, like some kind of hero even at his age. Venelana. Smiles. HMPH. Saddened with concern. Hey, speaking of which, and I know this is kind of touchy, but have you spoken to her, your daughter I mean? Rin. Saddened. Takes a sip. No, it's been about 10 years since I last spoke to Mickey, which of course the talk turned into an argument as usual. Venelana. Concern. What was it about? Rin. Saddened. I have a grandson now. Venelana. Shocked. You have a grandson? Rin. Smiles sadly. I do. Venelana. Smiles in joy. Oh my goodness, you must have been so overjoyed. Gasp. Is he around Malilka's age? Maybe we can introduce them to one another. Thinking. Wait. You just said that you found out about 10 years ago. Sadden. Well, that's disappointing, since that would mean he would be just 1 or 2 years younger than Rias. If she wasn't already interested in another man, then I would have totally suggested your grandson, then we could practically be a family. Rin. Smiles sadly. HMPH. Jumping the gun, aren't we? Now you're acting just like your husband when she set Rias up with Riser. Venelana. Sighs. Don't remind me. Well, I did support the reasoning behind the marriage. I didn't support what would have been the outcome for both Rias and Riser. I just wish that my husband didn't just jump the gun. He sometimes forgets that there is an order to these sorts of things. He should have waited and see if Rias and Riser were compatible with each other before trying to make them official. Smiles. But in any case, what is your grandson like? I bet given he is your grandson, he must be quite handsome like his grandfather, and no doubt brimming with talent just like his grandmother. Rin. Smiles sadly. I have no idea, I haven't seen him in 10 years. Hence the argument I had with Mickey. You see, Shiru and I found him at the park in the town Mickey lived in. Though of course he didn't know we were his grandparents. Smiles weakly. Especially given our appearance and all that. But before we left him, I gave him one of my amulets and told him to keep it safe. It was then later that night I received an angry call from Mickey, saying how dare I come in contact with her son, and told us to never go near him again. Venelana. Shocked. What? Furious. That is unacceptable. Rin. Smiles sadly. Please calm down, Venelana. She did make a good point, since, given how high profile we are in the supernatural, we're bound to attract some attention, especially those who we come in contact with. Mickey, who left my house since she was born with little to no magic power, who later had a child of her own, no doubt people will be interested in that, both good and bad. Mickey was just doing her job as her mother and trying to protect her child. Venelana. Furious. That is no excuse. That boy is your grandson and you should have every right to see him. Rin. Sweat drops. Venelana, I think that the alcohol is finally getting to you. Venelana. A bit flushed. Hiccup. Annoyed. That doesn't matter, the fact still remains that you're not allowed to see your grandson just because of what might possibly happen. If my son were to tell me that I couldn't see my sweet Milikas, then Satan or not, I will give that boy an earful he will never forget. Hell, if you would have told me about this sooner, then I would have arranged for her and her family to be protected by the Gremory family. You know what? Tell me where Mickey is right now. One talk with Auntie Venelana should set her butt straight. Rin. Sweat drops. I don't think that's necessary, Venelana. Venelana. Serious. Tell me what your grandson's name is, maybe he would be a good match for Akeno. Smiles. Yeah, Akeno would be a good option, they're both Japanese, and given how Shiru was when he was younger, I would imagine your grandson might have inherited a bit of his personality, he would be a perfect match for her. Plus I've always seen Akeno as like a second daughter to me, so it could still work. Knowing my daughter, she wouldn't let the man she is with to be any other woman. She has always been a greedy little princess. Rin. Sweat drops while smiling weakly. Waves. Sir, can you get a glass of water for my friend here and the bill, please? Bartender. Chuckles. Ho, ho, ho. I would imagine you fine ladies don't get out that often. But of course I will get those right away. Venelana. Smiles. Hiccup. Heron, do you want to see the boy that Rias is going out with? It was then Venelana rummaged through her purse, in which she took out a picture of a high school student of average height with short spiky brown hair, with 2 short locks of hair behind his head and light brown eyes. Upon seeing the picture, Rin became utterly shocked seeing the boy's face. Venelana. Smiles. He may not be handsome, but I can tell he does some boyish charms that a lot of older women would find appealing. But unfortunately his main drawback is that he is way too honest and open about his perversion, always spouting about having a harem, but the name Issei does mean honesty and your tongue right, so I guess it can't be helped. But thankfully he's in my daughter's peerage and summer is coming up, which means both her and her peerage will be coming to the underworld, in which I'll use that time to teach him some proper etiquette in order to minimize his perversion. Actually, I think it would be a good idea for you to help me out, you know, give him the Tasaka elegant treatment. As Venelana was rambling on about the boy in the picture, Rin's face was covered with hair, but if one were to look at her face right now they could see a flurry of emotions in her eyes. In her eyes there was anger, sadness, concern, shock, but most of all, disappointment. When the black-haired woman finally collected her thoughts, the bartender returned with a glass of water and bill. Bartender. Smiles. Here is your glass of water and bill, ma'am. Rin. Stoic. Bartender. Slightly nervous. Ma'am, is everything alright? Rin. Smiles. Everything is fine, please forgive, it looked like my mind wandered off. Giggles. Foo. It seems that my age is finally catching up to me, it seems. Bartender. Smiles. Oh, thank goodness. Well, if everything is alright, then I'll leave you 2 ladies be while I check on something in back. Rin. Smiles. Thank you. Once the bartender left, Venelana looked at Rin with curiosity, since she could sense that something was wrong with her, and decided to ask her. Venelana. Curious. Hey Rin, are you okay? You seem upset about something. Was it something I said? Rin. Smiles. It's nothing, I just remembered I had something important to do in the morning is all. Venelana. Concern. Are you sure? I mean, because I can sense that you seem angry about something. Rin. Smiles. I'm fine, I promise. You should probably get home while the bartender is not looking and while you're still coherent. Venelana. Sighs. Okay, be well, Rin. Rin. Smiles. I will. With that said, Venelana summoned a magic circle that would take her back to her home in the underworld, but before she left, Rin wanted to give her thanks to the brown hair woman. Rin. Smiles. Before you leave, Venelana, I just want to say thank you for the talk, and I think I will take your advice about having a stern conversation with my daughter about seeing my grandson. Venelana. Smiles. HMPH. Glad I can help, I do hope I can get to meet your grandson. Rin. Smiles. I bet you will. But that said, Venelana vanished from the magic circle, and not a moment too soon as she left, the bartender had returned from the back, who quickly became confused as to what happened to the brown-haired woman who was just here a minute ago. Bartender. Confused. What happened to your friend? Rin. Smiles. She was a bit too tipsy and got herself a cab home, don't worry, she'll be alright. Bartender. Smiles softly. That's good. As bartender returned to his duties, Rin went inside her purse and reached out her phone, and after taking another quick sip of her drink, she went through contacts and called on the person she needed to speak to right away. Curious. Rin, is everything alright? I was going to call you once Takaki and I got back to the hotel. Rin. Serious. Shiru, where are you right now? Shiru. Serious. I'm in Moscow right now. Takaki and I just took out a hideout on the outskirts of the city, belonging to the rogue magicians that Mephisto asked us to take care of, but unfortunately it was not the main base. Concern. What's wrong, you sound upset, did something happen with Venelana? Rin. Serious. Just tell me, how fast can you get back to Japan and to Kuo? Shiru. Shocked. Kuo. Rin, are you sure you want to go there? I mean, sure, we go there since we are close associates with the Gremory family, but Miki is also there and… saddened. I don't think she would want to see us after what happened 10 years ago and how she sees us. Rin. Serious. That doesn't matter because I just found out that our grandson had become a demon. Shiru. Shocked. What? How? When? Are you sure that Issei had become a demon? Rin. Serious. I'm sure of it because Venelana told me about the boy who crashed Ria's engagement party with Riser. Shiru. Serious. Yeah, I remember that. About 2 months ago the wedding was called off due to Sekiryuutei's interference. Rin. Serious. Yes, and that the Sekiryuutei is part of Rias' peerage, so when Vanillana actually showed me the picture of him, to my utter shock that it was Issei, our grandson. Shiru. Serious. So our grandson has essentially been a demon for almost 3 months, and to top it all off he is this generation Sekiryuutei. Why hasn't Mickey told us about this yet? I mean, if we would have known, we could have helped him and trained him, hopefully utilized his potential. Rin. Serious. That's why I want you to get back to Japan as soon as possible, because I think we need to have a real talk with our daughter. Shiru. Sighs. Serious. I can't help but agree with you. Takaki and I will grab the next flight to Japan. You should probably head back home with Sakura. I can tell from your voice that you're more angry than you're letting on, so maybe talking about this with your sister will help calm you down. Rin. Serious. Alright, fine, I'll see you soon, dear. After hanging on the phone, Rin placed the right amount yen on top of the bill and began to walk out of the establishment. But as she was making her way out, she only had one thought on her mind. Rin. Mind. Sadden. Why didn't you tell us what happened to Issei, Mickey? Meanwhile, in the outskirts of Moscow. In the snowy outskirts of Moscow, Russia, lies an abandoned manor that was used in some years. Inside this manor laid the dead bodies of about dozen or so mages on the ground, and at the center of the pile of bodies stood a tall, young, handsome-looking man with short, white, swept-back hair. He had gray steel eyes and tanned skin color. His attire consisted of body armor consisting of a black tight and sleeveless shirt with silver accents that outline his muscles and a metal plate on his collar, along with black pants that have 2 black straps on his thighs and another 2 strapped around his shin separate from each other. He wears black metal-plated shoes, which appear to be attached to his trousers. He wore a red coat, which were actually 2 separate sleeves connected by a metal plate at the back, which covered his arms and was cut off, showing his upper torso and midriff, and had a separate red open skirt which ended above his shins, with the top fashioned and tied with an ajimaki knot, covered by a silver metal plate. Shiru. Sighs. Sadden. Mickey, just what have you gotten Issei into? Do you really hate us that much? Serious. Takaki, come on, let's go, there's been a change in plans. Curious. Takaki. On the other side of the room, looking out the window, stood a handsome young man that seemed to look to be around his early to mid-20s. He had gray hair with bangs covering the left side of his face. He also had gold pale eyes. His attire consisted of purple and black armor resembling that of a knight. Takaki. Stoic. So you have awoken Percival, and it seems Gawain is about to awaken as well. Looks at his hand. And if that is the case. Being held in Takaki's right hand was a large jet black sword that radiated both holy and demonic energy. Takaki. Stoic. It is possible that I might find his reincarnation fairly soon. Shiru. Curious. Takaki, are you alright? Takaki. Startled. Smiled softly. Forgive me, Atausen, I believe that I've sensed something interesting on the horizon. Shiru. Serious. I see. Well, like I said, there had been a change of plans, we're going back home to Japan. Takaki. Curious. Why is that? Shiru. Sighs sadly. We all need to have a serious talk with your sister. Takaki. Saddened slightly. Oh. Mickey-Nisan, is it really alright for me to go with you to see her? It is clear as day that she resents me the most, and her seeing me might cause her to become even more furious at us than usual. Shiru. Serious. Well, unfortunately she's going to have to suck it up because she has some real explaining to do. It's your nephew, it turns out that he has become a demon, and is this generation Sekiryuutei, and your sister didn't even bother telling us. Takaki. Stoic. That is surprising, I never got to meet him, so I guess this will be interesting to say the least. I wonder what he is like. Shiru. Smiles. HMPH. I think you two would get along greatly, and given the age difference I think you could pass off as his older brother. Takaki. Curious. An older brother. Looks into the sky curiously. Would I actually make a good older sibling? Shiru. Smiles softly. I think you would make a good older sibling. Now come on, we have to get our things ready and catch the next flight back to Japan. Takaki. Nods. Right. As the two men were making their way out of the abandoned manor, Shiru couldn't help looking into the night sky that was filled with stars that shined ever so brightly. But despite seeing such beautiful scenery, he couldn't help but have a deep sense of worry and dread about the thought of seeing his daughter again, as if what he was about to hear from her would be not what they expected. Upon sensing the concerns of the white-haired man, a feminine voice echoed out in his mind. Concern. You're concerned about how this will end and Issei's well-being, aren't you, Shiru? Shiru. Mind. Concern. Yeah, I mean, I already know the moment we step into her home, it's going to instantly go into a full-blown argument, and poor Issei, I don't know how he will think of us if Mickey told him about a relationship with us. Serious. I have a feeling that she didn't tell Issei. Shiru. Mind. Curious. How so? Stoic. You forget that she is also my daughter and a mother knows these things. Sadden. But if Mickey did tell Issei about her past, then wouldn't you think he would try to make contact with us in order to demand us why we apparently treated her that way? Shiru. Mind. Concern. I guess that is true since no doubt Mickey will make it that we were the bad guys for what happened to her, and in a way we kind of were, despite everything we truly did nothing for the pain that was in her heart. Sadden. HMPH. We truly are terrible parents, aren't we? Sadden. I believe we are, though I believe I'm the worst of them all since now I guess I've failed 2 daughters now. Shiru. Mind. Sadden. Mickey was not your fault since there is not much you can do when you are just a spirit. Sadden. Even so I am still her mother and I can't help that I failed her just like what I did with my kingdom and Mordred. Shiru. Mind. Sadden. Artoria. With Issei and Zenovia. When Issei and Zenovia came out of the magic circle, they quickly had to cover their eyes as they noticed where they appeared was surprisingly bright. After a few moments of adjusting their eyesight, the 2 teens were surprised to find themselves in an area that was in the middle of the day. Issei. Shocked. What, it's day, but when we left Kuo it was nighttime. Zenovia. Thinking. Judging by the atmosphere and the fact that it's early in the morning give or take, I would say that we're somewhere around Europe. Issei. Surprised. How do you know that? Zenovia. Serious. You forget that I was an exorcist, and as such my job required me to take out devils and other monsters around the world, as such one needs to get used to at least the geological time difference between continents. Issei. Smiles weakly while scratching the back of his head. Right, I forgot about that, sorry I just never imagined myself really traveling around the world, even when I got reincarnated as a devil. Sweat drops. I just hope no one saw us coming out of a magic circle, since that would be difficult to explain and cover up. Zenovia. Smiles softly. HMPH. Well if I were you, I should start getting used to it since you just promised Office that you would take her around the world in order to try out different sweets when we get back from Remnant. Looks around. Besides it seems that we appeared in a pretty secluded place, so I think we should be fine for the most part. Issei. Smiles. I suppose you are right about. Curious while checking his body. Zenovia. Curious. What is it, Ice? Issei. Curious. It's my body, even though I'm still technically a devil my body doesn't feel any weaker despite being under the sun. In fact I feel just as normal if I was at nighttime, at least by devil's standard of normal. Zenovia. Curious. That's odd, could it be your dragon physiology sort cancelling out some of weaknesses as a devil? Issei. Thinking. Maybe, but it could be just how my body feels under the light of the sun, so I wouldn't say that I'm immune to light holy weapons or spells, the same could be said for dragon slaying weapons. But this means that I have a bigger weakness since if I were to be attacked by something that was imbued by both holy and dragon slaying elements, then I'm a serious goner. Zenovia. Serious. Like Ascalon. Issei. Nods. Exactly. Curious. Which makes me still wonder why Michiel gave Ascalon to me in the first place, since it would have been the perfect weapon for the church or heaven to use against me if I were to become a threat or become an enemy of the church. Sweat drops while mopping. But then again he did say that I was the weakest Sekiryuutei in history, so to someone who has fought in the Great War and is considered the strongest angel in heaven according the Bible, then to a guy like me, I was probably some kind of gecko who he can easily squash without even realizing it. So he deeply probably felt pity for me and decided to give me some sort of a fighting chance. Flick. Issei. Winces in pain. Ooh. Zenovia. Annoyed while pouting. Enough of that talk Issei, you said that you were going to prove to everyone including yourself that you deserve the power that has been bestowed upon you, were you not? If so you can't have that type of thinking, or else not only will you be able to grow as a person, but also you are letting those who mock you win by letting them get inside your head. Issei was indeed surprised by Zenovia's attitude and response, since it was definitely something that the old Zenovia would say or act. But at the same time the white-haired boy could not deny it was something that he definitely needed to hear at least from someone besides himself and the people that were inside his head. Issei. Smiles softly. Yeah, you're right I need to learn to not let the past get to me, or else I will never be able to grow. Curious with a raised an eyebrow. But I'm surprised by you, Zenovia. Zenovia. Raised an eyebrow in confusion. What do you mean? Issei. Smiles weakly while scratching his cheek. Well it's just that. Even after joining Rias peerage I wouldn't think you would be the type of person to give such a meaningful and inspiring pep talk is all. Don't take this the wrong way, but I thought you were always the kind of person to let others deal with their own problems, and if they didn't like it then it was too bad for them. Zenovia. Smiles softly. HMPH. eyes closed. I just said what your Irina would have said if you saw anyone in that state. But I will admit at first glance I was that kind of person, especially when I was with the church. Eyes opened while smiling sadly. I had always put my mindset of that of a warrior or a soldier of the church, always putting the mission first before anything else to the point that I even almost put it to the extreme. Everyone at the church always seemed to distance themselves from me due to that mindset, even going as far saying that I was a heartless monster who only knew how to point and shoot, as how most people would say it behind my back. But I didn't care since due to my arrogance I told myself that they weren't faithful believers and that I was a true warrior of the Lord, but in truth it was in just armor to protect myself from the truth that I am just a mindless drone, waiting to take orders from anyone who could give it to me, and without orders then. What am I exactly? Issei. Sadden. Zenobia. Smiled sadly. Even when I was partnered with Irina my personality still didn't waver since by then I had pretty much, but all had accepted that this was my fate. To live and fight to the point that I would either die of old age or in battle. But a part of me still held in that small desire of what it would be like to be a regular girl like Irina is, even though she says she looks up to me, but in truth I sometimes look up to her, especially when days seem to be at its darkest. Issei. Smiled softly. Yeah, that's Irina for you, always seeming to brighten things up despite the atmosphere being so grim. Zenobia. Smiled sadly. So when I became a devil in Rias' peerage I thought I could open that path again in becoming a normal girl, but it had been so long it didn't know where to start, hence why I asked Rias. But of course in my naivety I took what she said too literally and jumped to whatever I saw intrigued me without taking the proper steps in order to obtain what I desired. So I'm also taking this chance to truly start over and learn to grow as a person, and just like you I know it will not be easy to forget about what happened, but I think when I'm with you, I feel that it is possible to overcome those hurdles. The silver-haired boy truly had no words to say, since he had no idea that Zenobia was going through something similar to him. She gave up the life she could have had for people who in the end only saw her as just another mindless pawn to be eventually thrown away and forgotten. Just because she essentially accidentally stumbled onto something she wasn't supposed to know though she was faithful to casted her out without giving her a chance to defend herself. Just like how his so-called parents were actually glad to be rid of him, no doubt those in the church who talked behind her back were actually grateful that she was gone. Issei. Saddened. Zenobia, I had no idea that's what you've been going through all your life. Zenobia. Smiled sadly. It's fine, like I said I'm still trying to truly grow as a person. Looks up into the sky. My faith in God will always be there is nothing that could change that. Issei. Mind. Winces in pain. Oh. I guess mentioning God in my presence still hurts, but it doesn't seem to hurt as much as it did before, where I would get a massive headache, but now it's more like that flick on the forehead that Zenobia gave me. So I'm not immune, but more like I am naturally built more resistant to it. The question is how much I can take before it starts to become dangerous to me. Zenobia. Smiled sadly. But I also want to try to become more than just the cold heartless muscle brain power idiot that everyone thinks I am, just like you with your perversion. I want others to see the other sides of me. That is why during your training here as well as when we get to Remnant, I want to dive deeper into the other interests that I had and maybe develop new ones along the way. Issei. Smiled softly. Well, just like how you are with me in every step of the way, I will do the same. I'll support you on whatever decisions you make on the way. Zenobia. Smiled softly. Thank you, Issei. Playfully pokes his chest. But that's going to be difficult for you if you keep on having negative thoughts infect your mind. Holds his hands. I will always pull you out of that abyss, but you need to at least make it easier for me by stopping letting yourself go down that mindset. Issei couldn't help but slightly blush upon hearing Zenobia's words and seeing the determining expression on her face. A part of him wondered who this girl was before him, since this was definitely not the same Zenobia that he met before, but he also had to remember that she had to essentially lock away what was essentially her true self for the sake of the church and their mission. But if the silver-haired boy was truly being honest, Zenobia did truly look really cute and beautiful whenever she smiled and acted the way she is now, which caused his blush to glow brighter. Upon seeing the reaction in the white-haired boy's face, Zenobia became curious as to why his face was all red. Zenobia. Curious. Ice, are you alright? Your face is all red. Are you feeling feverish from the new body? I mean, I've heard of dragons and devils having flu-like symptoms from time to time. Issei. Looks away nervously. No, it's not that, it's just that. Zenobia. Curious. Just what? Issei. Blushes nervously. Well, it's just that seeing you act and speak in such a way is all so new to me, and I think that it makes you very cute is all. Zenobia. Completely red. Oh. I see. Issei. Blushes nervously. But it's not that I didn't think your old way of speaking and acting wasn't cute. In truth, before we became allies, I also thought you were quite beautiful, and I mean not just in a physical sense. Panics. Not to say that your body is of bad taste, quite the opposite. You honestly have the perfect body. You have the figure and face of a girl that any guy like me would be lucky to have, and you have the build of a warrior who is confident in her abilities to handle herself in a fight. Smiles sadly while looking down. You're honestly like a blade, a beautiful but destructive blade who is planted underneath a majestic waterfall connected to a flowing river. The shimmer from the cold hard steel of your blade is able to make the bravest of warriors shiver in fear, but also leave them in awe of your beauty, a blade that they could never hope to touch, let alone wield. But they do not realize that this blade was actually incredibly lonely and yearned for companionship, but due to its nature, no one would be brave enough to even come near it. That's how you see Zenobia. Curious. Zenobia, huh? When Issei looked at the Zenobia, he was surprised to see the blue-haired girl standing there all stiff, looking down with her face completely red and steam coming out of her ears. Upon seeing it, Issei began to mentally panic since he believed he must have said something rude or uncalled for, that is until heard snickering inside his head. Merlin. Snickers. My look at you, Issei-san, you sure do have a way with words, don't you? Belzard. Snickers. I'll say. Dante. Snickers. Damn kid, who knew you had a way with ladies? Issei. Mind. Panics. Wait, what? What did I do? I thought I was just complimenting her, and now I feel that I made her uncomfortable and possibly made her hate me. Elsha. Giggles. Foo. My goodness, Ice-kun, you really didn't know what you did. Issei. Mind. Panics. No, I don't know what I should do, Elsha-senpai. Elsha. Smiles. Ice-kun, you did nothing wrong. Issei. Mind. Confused. I didn't, but why is she acting like that? Elsha. Smiles. Well. Why don't you ask her? Issei. Mind. A bit nervous. Should I? Elsha. Smiles. Trust me, Ice-kun, in moments like these it's simpler to just direct the problem, instead of just festering around trying to figure out what caused it. Issei. Mind. Nervous. Okay, here it goes. Issei. Nervous. Zenobia, are you alright? Did I say something to offend you? Zenobia. Startled. Huh? Blushes nervously. No, you didn't, it's just that. You're the first guy to compliment me that didn't entirely involve my combat abilities, but was more focused on me as a person, so it caught me off guard is all. Issei. Surprised. Oh, that was it. Smiles weakly. Well, thank goodness, since I was afraid I might have accidentally angered you or made you uncomfortable, since a part of me felt I was acting a little bit pervy about it. Zenobia. Smiles nervously. Yeah, and besides, I don't think there's anything wrong with you complimenting my body, since like I told you back to the pool that I was very confident in my body, so to say you agree was quite the compliment. Issei. Smiles weakly while scratching the back of his head. Well, for a non-good looking guy like me, a part of me can't help but admire someone who is truly beautiful. Zenobia. Blushes. Everyone in his mind except Vergil. Mind. Sweat drops with eyes half open. How in hell has he not gotten a girlfriend yet? Zenobia. Coughs into her hand. Ahem. Curious. Anyway, can I ask you something? Issei. Curious. What is it? Zenobia. Curious. When did you become a poet? Issei. Tilts head in confusion. A poet, me? Zenobia. Curious. Yeah, when you saw me as a beautiful but destructive blade, it sounded like you were making a poem of me. Issei. Confused. I wasn't trying to make a poem though, that's just what I see whenever I look at you. Vergil. Serious. Sometimes that is just how poems are made. Issei. Mind. Curious. What do you mean, Vergil-sensei? Vergil. Serious. Poems are a form of speaking that allows one to express their true emotions, ideals, or their stories in a way that only you and a few others can comprehend. Issei. Mind. Curious. So is that what I just did, poetry? Vergil. Serious. Yes and no, well, impressive, it could use some refinement. Smirks. HMPH, perhaps during your training I could help you refine this new hidden talent of yours. I will show you some work of my favorite poet William Blake. Dante. Yawns. Great, so you're going to make the kid a literature nerd like you were. Issei. Mind. Sweat drops. In all honesty, Dante, given you know how my life has been, I think being a literature nerd is a huge upgrade than being a gigantic pervert. Vergil. Smirks. HMPH. Elsha. Giggles. Foo. Oh, Ice-kun, do you think when you become a master poet that you could make a poem about me? Issei. Blushes in embarrassment. Zenobia. Curious. Ice, what's wrong? Issei. Startled. Nervous. It's nothing, come on, different time zones are not, we're wasting precious time, and the place should be right around the corner. Zenobia. Confused. Okay. But before they decided to go anywhere else, Issei, with the help of Merlin, summoned a magic circle to a pocket dimension in which both him and Zenobia would place their school bags in, as so that they didn't need to be forced to carry it around, especially if they were forced into a fight. As the two teens began to walk their way through the alley they arrived in, Issei decided to ask Zenobia a question that was related to what said earlier about the possible weakness to his new body. Issei. Curious. Hey Zenobia, can I ask you something? Zenobia. Curious. What is it? Issei. Curious. When you were an exorcist, did you ever meet Michiel, or any angel to be exact? Zenobia. Thinking. Well. Occasionally an angel would come down from heaven in order to issue high priority missions. Issei. Serious. Like the one you and Irina did with the Excalibur fragments? Zenobia. Nods. Yes, but other than that, not really, since they don't tend to interfere too much in church affairs. I imagine since they probably think that too much divine intervention would hinder humanity's growth and belief. Why do you ask? Issei. Curious. Because I was wondering if you could tell me some of the abilities of angels. Zenobia. Curious. Why would you want to know the abilities of angels? Issei. Serious. Because when Michiel gave me Ascalon, Akeno briefly told me that both her and Michiel had to perform a special ritual in order for Ascalon to be used by me. So I'm just wondering if somehow Michiel would have known or sensed something was up with Akeno during that time. Zenobia. Serious. I see. Well, from what I've researched and have been told, angels have powers similar to that of the fallen angels that you have no doubt been accustomed to, which is holding the power over light. But the main difference being that since they did not fall from grace, all of them could use holy power on top of it, making it twice as deadly to devils. Issei. Serious. I see, so until I can build up a resistance to holy power, it would be best to not try to piss off any angels, especially if they are equal or close to Michiel's in power. Zenobia. Nods. But besides that, angels could also hear prayers of humans, depending on how strong their faith is and if they are being prayed to directly. Issei. Serious. So almost like a human summons a devil to form a pact. Zenobia. Nods. Yes, though from what I've heard they are less direct when it comes to answering prayers and just try to perform miracles. Issei. Serious. Well, from a realistic standpoint, it's no wonder why devils are snatching up human souls, as they would put it, in droves, since humans especially nowadays are impatient as hell and can't wait for some divine miracle to appear before them. Zenobia. Nods. Which correlates what Kokabiel said about how the number of believers in Christianity is rapidly decreasing. But besides that, angels tend to have the ability to look and see what is inside a person's heart. It doesn't matter if they are human or not, with the only exceptions being gods. Issei. Serious. If that was the case, could Michiel have seen what was inside Akeno's heart during the ritual? If so, why didn't he say anything or possibly warn me what was about to happen? I mean, sure, I was never a saint or believer, but cutting a heads up about someone's betrayal would be nice. Upon saying that, a green gem appeared on Issei's left hand and out spoke Ddraig, who decided to put his 2 cents about the conversation. Ddraig. Serious. Partner, you still need to remember that you are still enemies due your factions, and he no doubt thought it was not his business to be involved in devil affairs of all things. I would imagine even if this peace conference of theirs were to be successful, then not everyone from each faction is going to be all buddy all of a sudden. You just can't simply get rid of eons worth of hatred and malice towards each other overnight. Issei. Serious. That may be true, but if he had sensed some form of betrayal from Akeno towards me, then that should have been enough reason for him to be hesitant to give me Ascalon or raise some sort of concern in general. Eyes narrowed. No, for some reason there has to be more to it, maybe. Zenobia. Curious. Maybe what? Issei. Thinking. Serious. Forget it, I don't know what I'm thinking. I can't waste time thinking of something trivial like that. Eyes narrowed. I need to focus on becoming stronger. I need to take advantage of every possible second of this training I'm about to receive. I need the power to protect what little I have left. Upon saying that last part, Issei's eyes glowed a deep crimson red, as it signifying his determination to follow through what he needs to do in order to gain the power he so desired. Zenobia also felt some sort of determination when she saw the look in Issei's eyes. Even though she was human again, she wasn't going to let something like that hold her back from becoming stronger as well, since she wanted to be able to stand by Issei's side whenever fought and not hold him back. The blue-haired girl made a thought to make use of this time to possibly train on how to use Durandal appropriately, since she couldn't perfectly wield it, unlike its previous wielder, who is said to be the strongest swordsman in the Vatican's history, as well as being the closest to Durandal's original owner Roland in terms of power and proficiency. But Zenovia's thoughts were interrupted when she heard Issei speak again. Issei. Serious. We're here. Zenobia. Curious. In front of the two teens was a large brick building that had a large on top of the door, saying Devil May Cry. Upon seeing the building, Issei could definitely sense some fairly powerful energy signatures inside the building, one of them being similar to Dante and Vergil, which he naturally assumed would be Nero. Taking a deep breath, Issei walked up to the door of the building and began knocking on it. Knock, knock. Zenobia. Curious. Do you think anyone is home? Issei. Serious. They're home, but. Eyes wide in shock. Huh. Bang, bang. It was then in a blink of an eye Issei, using the speed technique that was used against Vergil, quickly grabbed onto Zenobia and moved her out of the way of the gunfire. When the gunfire finally stopped, out of the door came a beautiful woman with lengthy blonde hair, blue eyes, and a very fair complexion. Her clothing usually consists of black leather pants, high-heeled boots, a corset, double belts, a choker, and some kind of wrist accessory. Yawns. Slightly. Honestly, a demon coming here at the crack out of dawn was not on my to-do list. Smirks. But a little bit of target practice before breakfast won't hurt anybody, well. Points gun at Issei. Except you, of course. Issei. Mind. Sweat drops. Dante, please tell me that you know her and that not everyone you know is the type of person to shoot first and ask questions later. Dante. Smiles weakly. Yeah, I probably should have warned you about her. Her name is Trish and she's a demon who sometimes acts as my partner on demon hunts, but you're lucky because if it was Lady who opened, then no doubt she would have shot a rocket at you. Issei. Mind. Blink in surprise. Excuse me. A fucking rocket? Dante. Smirks. Well, yeah, she is known as the heavily armed beauty for a reason. Issei. Sighs while sweat drops. Good grief. Bang, bang. Issei. Panics. Shit. It was then Issei continued to zip around while carrying Zenobia in his arms, which did impress the blonde-haired woman that a demon was able to avoid her shots for this long. But as she was shooting Issei, she couldn't help but sense some similarity inside him. The aura and demonic energy that he radiated felt similar, but also had been tainted by some other energy. When she finally ran out of bullets, she began to channel electric magic into her hands, readying to shoot it at the white-haired boy. Trish. Smirks. My, it's not every day that a demon can avoid my shots, but I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed, so I think we should end this. Issei. Panics while putting his hand up. Wait, stop. Trish. Curious. Issei. Serious with his hand still up. We're not here to fight, Trish, we come in peace. Trish. Smirks. So you know my name, I guess it should be surprising that every demon out there knows me and would want to have my head on a platter. Issei. Nervous. Actually, I just found out your name just a second ago. Trish. Curious. A second ago. Issei. Serious. But like I just said, we're not here to fight. My name is Issei and I'm half human and half demonic dragon, okay. Gestures to Zenobia. The girl with me is Zenobia Quarta and she's a human. Trish. Confused. A demonic dragon, never heard of that before, unless you're a dragon who got turned into a demon, then it would make sense. Issei. Sweat drops. It's complicated, but I'm not a reincarnated devil, or at least anymore. I'm essentially a new type of dragon who has perfectly fused a demonic power, essentially making not entirely a devil, but also not entirely a dragon either. Trish. Mind. Serious. That would explain why his demonic signature seemed off, but something about the demonic presence inside of him feels all too familiar. Serious. Hey Trish, did you kill it yet? If not, let me get a crack at it. Everyone. Curious. Dante. Smiles weakly. That's Lady. Coming out of the door was another beautiful woman with dark chin-length hair on both sides of her face, and she had a fringe that reached her eyebrows. She also always has a necklace with a red gem on it. She had heterochromia eyes with her left eye is red, while her right eye is bluish-green. Her outfit is a combination of both military and casual style. A off-white leather short jacket with a white long-sleeved blouse, which shows off her midriff and was accessorized with grey and black rider goggles, and a black buckled belt which is connected to her jacket, black shorts with matching leg warmers, which is connected to her shorts that resembles leggings. She wears a black skirt and black boots. She also wears black fingerless gloves and black grey nail polish. But the part terrified the two teens was the obvious large rocket launcher she carried on her back. Issei. Mind. Sweat drops. So. You weren't kidding with the whole rocket launcher thing, huh? Dante. Sweat drops. Nope. When the black-haired girl turned to where Trish was staring, she was surprised to see two teens wearing school uniforms. But when she sensed that the white-haired boy radiated a dark and demonic signature, she quickly reached for her gun until she saw a hand in front of her which belonged to Trish, which did catch her by surprise. Lady. Annoyed. Hey, what the hell, Trish? Trish. Raises an eyebrow. They're not here to fight. Lady. Raises an eyebrow. And you believe them? For fuck's sake, one of them is for sure is a demon. Trish. Serious. And the other is a human who, now that I take a better look at her, has some reminiscence of holy power in her. A very odd combo, don't you think? Lady. Serious. Maybe she is being held hostage. Zenobia. Serious. I'm not a hostage. Issei. Sweat drops. Zenobia, maybe it's not wise to upset the lady with the rocket launcher. Trish. Sighs. Look, how about we see what they have to say, and if we don't like it, then we blast them. Lady. Sighs in annoyance. Fine. Issei. Claps hands in gratitude. Thank you. Trish. Raises an eyebrow. You're not off the hook, you have yet to explain why you are here. Issei. Serious. We're looking for Nero, I'm pretty sure both of you know him. Lady. Rolls her eyes in annoyance. Oh great, another reincarnated devil trying to recruit Nero and make him a part of his peerage. Issei. Mind. Sweat drops. Looks like it's not easy being a descendant of Sparda, huh? Trish. Serious. If that's the case, then I'm sorry to tell you, but you go ahead and tell your master that Nero is not interested, and tell the other high-class devils to take a hint and buzz off. Issei. Serious. I'm not with the current devil government. Lady. Sweat drops. Great, another lackey from the old Satan faction, then. Issei. Confused. What? Nods. No, I'm not with any faction. Trish. Curious. Then who sent you? Issei. Smiles weakly. You two would not believe me if I told you. Lady Trish. Curious. Try us. Issei. Smiles weakly. His. Dad. Trish. Lady. Blinks in shock. Yeah. This indeed shocked both women, since they weren't sure if they heard the white-haired boy correctly in saying that he was sent here by Nero's father, who has been dead for a few years now. Issei on the other hand felt sort of nervous given the reaction that the two ladies in front of him had, and wondered if he might have accidentally stepped on a landmine. Issei. Smiles nervously. Would it have been better if I said his uncle sent me as well? Trish. Lady. Shocked. His uncle. Issei. Nervous. Oh boy. Trish. Sighs in annoyance. This is honestly too fucking early for this BS. Lady. Sighs while shrugging shoulders. Well. How do you want to handle this? Trish. Serious. Well, if what he's saying is true, then we might as well hear them out. Lady. Raises an eyebrow. Are you sure? Trish. Serious. Like I said, if we don't like his answer, then we kill him. Looks at Issei. You better not make us regret this. Issei. Sweat drops. Trust me, I've just been told to not piss either of you off. Trish. Serious. Smart decision. With that said, all four individuals went inside the building, to which both Issei and Zenobia were a bit taken back by the interior, with it looking almost like a makeshift barman cave. In front was an old wooden office desk with a telephone. There were multiple demonic skulls being impaled on the wall, a pool table, a small lounge to the side of the office desk, and a medium-sized kitchen to the right. They noticed that there was an upstairs, which they figured was everyone's room. As soon as all of them were right in front of the office, they heard two voices coming from upstairs, to which Issei recognized from his dream last night. Serious. Yo, Trish. Lady, who was at the door, another demon or some high class trying to get me to join their stupid peerage. Trish. Serious. Yeah. You may want to come down and see for yourself. Confused. What? Lady. Serious. Just get your ass down here, I'm pretty sure you got yourself a job. Serious. We're coming. Coming down the stairs were two individuals, the first being a beautiful woman with long auburn hair tied up into a ponytail and had hazel eyes. She wore a khaki jacket with a red long sleeve underneath. She wore brown pants and brown boots. The second person was someone who knew very well which was Nero, and upon seeing the white-haired boy, Nero couldn't help but sense some form of familiarity that he could not explain. Essentially, just like with Trish, the demonic energy and aura that Issei irradiated felt all too familiar with him. Either way, as soon as the two individuals finally made their way downstairs, Nero decided to ask Trish and Lady about the situation at the current moment. Nero. Serious while shrugging his shoulders. So what's going on? Lady. Gestures to Issei. Ask him. Nero. Serious. Okay. Looks at Issei. So what do you want? Serious. Nero, please be more polite, just because he's a demon doesn't mean you shouldn't have to be rude. Nero. Serious. Sorry Kiri, just a little grumpy from being abruptly woken up is all. Issei. Bows apologetically. We're sorry for disturbing your sleep, but I didn't think about the possible time zone difference when we arrived, since I was just in Japan just a few hours ago. Zenobia. Bows apologetically. Yes, we are sorry, we didn't mean to intrude. Nero. Sighs while scratching the back of his head. It's fine, you're both just kids, and I shouldn't be acting like that even if you're demons. Curious. So what is it that you two want, because from the sound of it, you two were looking for me specifically? Issei nods. Yes, you see Nero, I was told to find you because I was told you could help train me in how to use my power. Gestures to himself. Since as you could see I'm not all demon. Nero. Serious. Yeah, I noticed that, which begs the question of what are you exactly? Trish. Serious. He says that he's half human and half demonic dragon, which is something slightly different than a dragon being reincarnated into that of a devil, in which he is not all demon, but also not all dragon. Nero. Raises an eyebrow. Well, that is definitely something you don't hear every day. Curious. So the next question is, who exactly sent you to come find me? Issei. Serious. I don't think you would believe me if I told you, hell I don't think even Trish and Lady don't believe it themselves still. Nero. Smirks. Alright, shoot. Issei. Sighs. Serious. Your father sent me to find you, Nero. Nero. Blinks in surprise. Stifle laughter. PFFT. Ha, 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 ha. That's hilarious. Issei. Confused. What's so funny? I'm telling you the truth. Nero. Breathes. He. My goodness, that's honestly just what I needed early in the morning, some kid coming up to me that my old man sent him here in order to train him. Sorry kid, but I'm not buying it. I mean, if you were looking for me, then it would mean who I am exactly and who I'm related to, right? Issei. Serious. Yes, your name is Nero. Your father is Vergil, the eldest son of the Dark Knight SPARDA, making you his grandson. Nero. Serious. Alright, then you should know that my so-called died almost 5 years ago. Issei. Serious. It doesn't mean what I'm telling you is a lie. I'm telling you the truth, that both Vergil and Dante sent me so that you could help me get stronger. Nero. Serious. I'm telling you kid that you're being played because he's. Issei. Serious. Dead, I know, and he is dead, but just physically. Nero. Confused. Physically. Issei. Sighs while rolling his eyes in annoyance. I guess it's better that I just show you. Everyone except Zenobia. Confused. It was then Issei extended his right arm and opened his hand, in which demonic and draconic power began to gather, in which DSI was summoned in its katana form. Everyone except for Zenobia were indeed in awe and amazed by not only the beauty and uniqueness of the blade, but also the aura it radiated from it. But Trish and Nero couldn't help but sense the power within the blade felt all too familiar. Nero. Eyes narrowed. This sword. Issei. Serious. It may look different, but I'm pretty sure you recognize the energy signature that it radiates. I mean, you once wielded it for a time. Nero. Eyes widen in shock. Yamato. Trish. Eyes widen in shock. Not only that, but I also sense the DSD inside that blade as well. Issei. Serious. That is because it's both of them. This is the DSI, and it's a demonic sword made when I stabbed myself with DSD and Yamato being fused with it. Lady. Confused. How the hell were you able to get both Yamato and DSD in the first place? Nero. Serious. That's a good question, because we've been looking high and low for those swords for years and turned up with squat. We imagine someone from the current devil government or the old Satan faction must have had it stashed away somewhere. Issei. Serious. It was with neither of them. After Dante and Vergil's last battle, it was taken by Office and stashed in one of her treasuries. Trish. Shocked. Office, as in the Ouroboros dragon, the jet black dragon of infinity. Zenobia. Nods. The very same. Lady. Sighs in exasperation. Well, no fucking wonder we could never find them, because who the hell has balls to grab something from a dragon's treasury, let alone a dragon god? Nero. Eyes narrowed. Which brings the question is, how in hell were you able to obtain something from a dragon's treasury without being dead? Issei. Sighs while sweat dropping. It's sort of complicated to explain, but simply put, Office owed me a favor and allowed me to take the swords for myself. Trish. Shocked. The dragon god of infinity owed you a favor. Issei. Smiles weakly while scratching the back of his head. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, even though I'm still having a hard time believing it myself. Nero. Serious. Okay, but that doesn't explain the part about my dad sending you to me in order to help train you. Trish. Thinking. He said that both Dante and Vergil were dead physically but not spiritually, correct? Lady. Confused. What is that supposed to mean? Trish. Serious. Well, remember that both DSD and Yamato are devil arms. Issei. Mind. Curious. What are devil arms? Dante. Serious. They're sentient weapons forged from a defeated demon, in which they put their soul and power into a variety of weapons with different abilities. Issei. Mind. Curious. So they're like pure demonic sacred gears. Vergil. Serious. Yes and no. Well, the concept of devil arm served as the base concept of sacred gears. The main difference is that a devil arm can turn against their wielder. Issei. Mind. Shocked. They can turn against their wielder. Dante. Serious. Yeah, hence you need to completely subjugate the demon in order to use its devil arm. Issei. Mind. Serious. I see. Lady. Confused. And. What about it? Trish. Serious. Well, if DSD and Yamato work in the same principle as normal devil arms, then it is possible that both Dante and Vergil souls were into them when they died. Nero. Shocked while pointing at Issei. So you're telling me that this kid has both Dante and Vergil talking to him in his head? Issei. Serious. That is exactly what is going on, hence I said Vergil sent me. Nero. Facepalms while looking away. Unbelievable. That fucking asshole. Kiri. Concern. Nero, please calm down. Nero. Surprised. Calm down. Pointed Issei. Kiri, my dead dad is inside this poor kid's head and no doubt manipulating him. For all we know, this could be a ploy in order for him to take over this kid's body, and the poor bastard doesn't even know it. Issei. Annoyed. Hey. Nero. Serious. Kid, believe me when I say this that you don't know who that guy really is and what he is capable of, but believe me when that. Issei. Annoyed. That he's a horrible person and can never be forgiven. Then I know all of the death and destruction he caused in his pursuit for power, with him growing the Quilpeth tree being the biggest one. Taps his head. Or did you forget that Dante is inside my head too? You really think someone like him, despite being incredibly irresponsible, would let someone your dad take over my mind? Dante. Sweat drops. Ouch. That's hurtful. Vergil. Serious. He's not wrong though. Nero. A bit taken back. Issei. Serious. Also, if you really think about it, do you really believe that Vergil took over my body and mind? Wouldn't you think the last thing he would want to do is to immediately come here knowing full damn well you could possibly kill me instantly? Sweat drops while eyes half open. I mean, come on, I know for damn sure that I'm not the smartest person in the world, but even I know that is a terrible idea, and you're older than me, so the fact that you didn't put that together is honestly kind of embarrassing. Nero. Annoyed while a bit red. Why you? Tightly grabs Issei's head and begins crushing it. You little shit, you got some nerve to talk back to someone older than you. Didn't your folks teach you to respect your elders? Issei. Annoyed. Grrrr. Smirks smugly. Well, usually do respect both my elders and betters, but only if they're not. Deadweight. Nero. Annoyed with veins popping on his head. Why you? It was then Nero instantly put Issei in a chokehold for calling him that demeaning nickname that Dante gave him before he died. Everyone in the room couldn't help but sweat drop at the scene, since it felt very childish, with the only exceptions being Issei and Dante were laughing at Nero's reaction for being called deadweight. But besides the obvious stupidity of how Nero was reacting, everyone couldn't help but see it in a different perspective, in which all them couldn't help but see it as two brothers just having another one of their spats before calming down and making up. It was when Kiri noticed how Issei's face slowly started to turn blue that she decided to stop what was happening. Kiri. Concern. Nero, stop, he's suffocating. Nero. Annoyed. Good, that will make him think twice before thinking I'm sort of dead weight. Issei. Smirks while trying to breath. Doubtful. Key. Zenobia. Concern. Issei, please stop, you're making it worse for yourself. With that said, both Zenobia and Kiri grabbed hold of the two boys until they let go of each other. When the two boys were finally separated, Zenobia was holding Issei, who was trying to catch his breath, while Kiri was holding Nero back from trying to kill Issei again. Kiri. Serious. Nero, calm down. Nero. Serious. Fine. Zenobia. Concern. Are you alright? Issei. Breaths. Serious. I'll live. Zenobia. Serious. Good. Smack. Issei. Winces in pain while rubbing the back of his head. OWWW. What was that for? Zenobia. Eyes narrowed. That's for losing your cool and trying to antagonize Nero. Did you forget that we need his help? Issei. Serious. But he. Zenobia. Serious. I know what he said, but that doesn't give you an excuse to lose your cool just because of what he said reminded you of them. Sadden. I know that everything that has happened to you was terrible, and technically it hasn't even been a full day yet, but you can't let what they did get to you, or else you will never be truly focused and move forward. Issei. Eyes narrowed. Zenobia. Sighs. Concern. Look, I'm not telling you to just get over it, since I can tell that something that you went through can't be tossed aside overnight, but to at least try to keep a cool head going forward. Issei. Serious. Sighs. I can't make any definitive promises, but I do promise that I can at least try to do so. Smirks. HMPH. Honestly, since when did you become good at giving pep talks? Zenobia. Smiles softly. You and Irina are more alike than you might think. She would get too emotional when it came to her missions. Hence that's part of the reason why I was assigned to be her partner, since I would be the one to help to keep her mind focused on the mission at hand. Issei smiles. I guess that's right since you did seem to have that type of personality when we first met. Lady. Curious. You said your name was Zenobia Quarta, right? Are you related to Griselda Quarta? Issei. Curious. Who's Griselda Quarta? Is she like your mom or something? Zenobia. Nervous. No, she is my guardian, but you could say she is more like my adoptive older sister. She's an exorcist like I was, and she's one of the strongest female exorcists within the church. Issei. Curious. Why do you look so nervous? Zenobia. Nervous. Well, you see, Lady Griselda can be quite scary when things don't go as planned, or if I make a mistake. Like how? Looks away in embarrassment. I never confronted her when I became a devil. Issei. Shocked. Wait, what? Zenobia. Nervous. Issei. Raises an eyebrow. Zenobia, don't you think you should have at least told your older sister what you were doing before jumping into becoming a devil? I mean, I understand you were in complete shock due to finding out God died, but maybe talking to her first might have helped you with making a proper decision. Zenobia. Saddened. I know and I should have, but after being made a heretic and casted out by the church, I didn't think I could face her again, even if it was on the phone. I thought she would have told me on how disappointed she was in me, and if that were to happen then I don't. Issei. Saddened. I see. I understand why now and I can't blame you because anyone in your position would have done the same thing. Curious while looking at Lady. So. How do you know Griselda exactly? Lady. Smirks with a tick mark on her head. We may have bumped into each other a couple times on demon hunts in which she totally butted in on my jobs, which cost me a crap ton of money. During a lot of those jobs we ended fighting each other in which we both left with massive scars and bruises on ourselves. Zenobia. Shocked. Wait, so you're the reason why Griselda sometimes came back to the Vatican covered in bruises, burn marks, and gunshot wounds? Lady. Smirks. I see. So she told you about me? Zenobia. Nervous. No, but whenever she came in that state I would try to ask her what happened, and she simply said that she just ran into a greedy faithless heretic. Lady. Smirks with a tick mark on her head. So in other words, she just called me a bitch. Zenobia. Nervous. I don't know if I would say she said that. Everyone. Mind. Sweat drops with eyes half open. She totally did. Kiri. Curious while looking at Issei. So what is your name? Issei. Serious. My name is Issei. Just Issei. Nero. Curious. What, no last name? Issei. Serious. I don't have one. Eyes narrowed. Not anymore, I've abandoned that part of my identity for a little while now. This of course made the four individuals curious as to what Issei meant by that he had abandoned his family name, while Zenobia and residents inside his soul were indeed saddened because they knew what he meant by it. While his anger and disappointment towards Rias and the other females in the orc, with the exception being of course being Zenobia, was beginning to subside, the resentment towards his parents was far from it since, as the saying goes, blood is thicker than water, but the question was how long it'd take for this blood to finally stop boiling. But unbeknownst to them, the only other person in the room that had some idea what Issei meant when he said those words was Lady, who saw the expression and looked in his eyes and seemed before when she abandoned her old name. Lady. Mind. Saddened. I see, so that's how it is. Seems like you had a crappy dad as well. Nero. Curious. Why did you abandon your last name? Did something happen to your family or something? Issei. Looks away. It doesn't matter. Nero. Serious. Yes, it does matter, because how the hell are we supposed to trust you if you don't tell us everything about you? Issei. Slightly annoyed. My past is irrelevant, what's important is the present and what could happen in the future. Nero. Serious. The past always matters. Issei. Serious. If you only focus on the past then all it will do will just repeat itself. Nero. Serious. That's an if, but without the past how do you remind yourself of how you got to this point, or even what you're fighting for? Issei. Annoyed. Lady. Serious. Hey, let's take it easy on him, it looks like he's been through a lot. Trish. Curious with raised eyebrow. Now you're defending him, just a few minutes ago you wanted to fill his face with a bunch of bullets. Issei. Sweat drops. Which I hope is still off the table. Lady. Serious. Look, all I'm saying is that there is no need to be all hostile towards him, since we now know why he is here, which doesn't sound too bad. Plus, like the kid said earlier, he has both Dante and Vergil in his head, which if either one of them wanted to take over his body, they would have done so by now. If Dante was willing to let this kid take and absorb his sword, then that must mean he can't be all bad. Trish. Serious. Dante I can believe, but the part that still has me on edge is why Vergil allowed him to wield and fuse Yamato in the first place. Nero. Serious. Trish has a point, why the hell would he give him the Yamato? Eyes narrowed. I may not know my father all too well, but I do know this. He would rather die 1,000 times over than willingly hand over Yamato or admit defeat. Issei. Serious. You're right on both those accounts. It was then Issei lifted up his shirt in which they saw was a large X-shaped scar on his chest, which also did surprise Zenobia, since she wasn't able to see the scar had when he awoke after his battle with Vergil. Zenobia. Shocked. Issei, how long have you gotten this scar? Issei. Smirks. If I had to guess, it was when I lost consciousness after my fight. Nero. Serious. Your fight? Issei. Serious. That's right, you see I had to fight your father with everything I had, which unfortunately wasn't much since both my fighting style and battle experience is essentially zero. Trish. Curious. So he won? Issei. Serious. Yes, and I was beaten badly, but my will to not give up is what kept me going, but unlike others he saw potential in me and forfeited the battle, so I wouldn't end up killing myself, and saw me as worthy of wielding the Yamato. Everyone except Zenobia. Shocked. He forfeited. Dante. Chuckles. Key. Looks I'm not the only one who was weirded out when actually said that. Vergil. Annoyed. Get off my back. Nero. In disbelief. No way, there is no way Vergil, my father, would actually admit defeat. Even when I kicked his ass the last time we met he wouldn't admit he lost, he was the kind of person to die over 1,000 times than to admit defeat. Lady. Shocked. I honestly have to agree, I've personally met Vergil and trust me when I say he is the definition of it's either I win or I die. Issei. Serious. I know it's hard to believe, but it's the truth, just like my namesake. Kiri. Confused. Your namesake? Issei. Eyes closed. Right, forgive me since I forgot that I'm a foreigner in your eyes, but I'm in Japanese, the name Issei means honesty or sincere. Trish. Smiles. Oh yeah, I've been to Japan a few times to do some jobs there, and there was a shrine there commemorating Amaterasu called the Ice Jinger Shrine. Are you possibly named after that shrine? Issei. Shrugs shoulder. I don't know, to be honest, that's just the name that was given to me when I was born, and I've done my best to live up to that name. Eyes closed while sighs in annoyance. But I guess in the end it wasn't ever good enough. Kiri. Concern. What do you mean? When Issei looked into the eyes of Kiri, he could tell that the brown-haired woman really seemed to be concerned for him and his well-being. The silver-haired boy didn't know how to explain it, but the aura around her was indeed calm and soothing. When he looked into Kiri's eyes he couldn't help but be reminded of Irina. He began to remember when he was down on the dumps that it was her that would come and comfort him by hearing out his concerns and snapping him out of his funk by watching anime Super Sentai shows. But Issei didn't feel like explaining his backstory to everyone since he had just met these people, as well as not feeling being petted by everyone by his sobbing backstory. Issei. Serious. Your name was Kiri, correct? Kiri. Confused. Yes. Issei. Smiled sadly. I do appreciate your concern, but like I just told Nero, my past is of no concern since I am trying to move past it. Kiri. A bit saddened. Oh. Nero. Serious. Stubborn, aren't you? Issei. Serious. I've been called that. Nero. Serious. Well, whatever the case, I won't train you. I don't care if you were sent here by either Dante or Vergil. The fact of the matter is, I don't trust you because you refuse to tell us everything about you, so unless you tell us everything about you then you can get out of here. Issei. Eyes narrowed. You really have no sense of someone's privacy, do you? Nero. Serious. In this business you have to know every detail about the job so that not only you're prepared but also you don't screw over later on. Issei. Raises an eyebrow in curiosity. I'm guessing you've been screwed over in a few jobs. Nero. Serious. A couple of smartasses tend to think they can get the one up on me, some of them from noble families from the current devil government, when it comes to my payment. Issei. Serious. I guess that's no surprise since even though you're the grandson of the legendary Dark Knight, you're still a quarter demon, which is even worse than being a half demon or a reincarnated one at that. So they probably thought in their mind that you should have been grateful to serve the nobility in the first place and that you didn't deserve any payment at all. Nero. Serious. Exactly, but I can already tell you're someone who doesn't spill the beans so easily, so. Cracks knuckles. I think there is a better way of making you talk. Kiri. Shocked. Nero, you can't. Issei. Serious. It was then Issei's shadow began to expand rapidly, and out came Umbra, who leaped over Issei and began to growl menacingly towards Nero while increasing his aura in order to protect his master. Well, a fiery red orb flew out of Issei's body in which a large flaming bird resembling that of a phoenix floated right next to the white-haired boy, ready to attack if need be. Everyone was indeed surprised by the appearance of these two creatures, especially since they almost looked similar to the familiars that Vergil's human half-B once used. Issei inwardly was grateful that Ifrit didn't come out, since he knew that if he came out then not only this office, but also the entire city block might have gone up in flames. Sire. Serious. Forgive us, but we're afraid that we cannot allow you to do any harm to our master. Umbra. Growls. Grrr. Nero. Shocked. Who the hell are you? Issei. Serious. They're my familiars, forged from fragments of who I used to be, as well as the excess demonic power that I couldn't withstand when I absorbed DSD and Yamato. Puts hands front of Umbra and Sire. Stand down, you two. I don't think Nero wasn't planning on hurting me in the way that you might think. Crya. Serious. As you wish, my master. Umbra. Growls in annoyance. Grrr. Lady. Curious. Wow, are they almost similar to V's familiars? Trish. Curious. I have to agree, which is if that was the case I would imagine you had one more familiar up your sleeve. Issei. Serious. You would be correct, but thankfully I was able to tell him to stand down, or else this entire city block might have been set ablaze, and while most of us would have been alright, I don't want innocent civilians, especially humans, being caught in the crossfire. Kiri. Smiled softly. Thank you for thinking about the other people in this town. Issei. Serious. Like I said, I didn't come here to fight. Nero. Serious. Well, too bad, you're going to fight. Kiri. Confused. What are you doing, Nero? Nero. Serious. Simple, Issei and I are going to have a little wager. Issei. Confused. A wager. Nero. Serious. That's right, you and me are going to duke it out with everything we got until one of us either falls or forfeits. Trish. Curious. Are you sure about this, Nero? I mean, he is just a kid. Nero. Serious. The kid who was able to stand his ground against my father and lived to tell the tale. I'm just curious about what about this kid that made my old man admit defeat the way he did. Issei. Serious. What are the terms? Nero. Serious. Simple, if I win you spill beans about your past, and I mean every last detail. Issei. Serious. And if I win? Nero. Serious. Then I'll train you, and I won't ever ask you about your past again. Issei. Serious while holding out his hand. Deal. As the two white-haired men shook hands on their agreement, Trish, being skeptical on how this little duel will play out, decided to ask the obvious question. Trish. Confused. Okay, but I just have one question. Just where are you two planning on having this duel of yours? I mean, you two forget that you're not human, right? Especially since if Nero were to go all out, he could easily wipe out a country or two without breaking a sweat. Issei. Mind. Sweat drops. Damn, is Nero really that strong? Vergil. Serious. It should be no problem for him, since even though he defeated me in a slightly weakened state, it wouldn't be far off to say he was on par with most god-class beings. If we were to guess he continued to train and harness the power of his devil trigger like Dante and I, then it wouldn't be hard to guess that he is indeed on par with what you call a super devil. Issei. Mind. Curious. A super devil. Vergil. Serious. A super devil is an extremely rare and irregular being within demon society, in which they have the power that transcends the original 4 devil kings and can easily go up against god-class beings. Their power is so irregular and frightening that it is hard to even call them demons in the first, but more like gods in demon skin. So far from my knowledge, there are 3 confirmed super devils, with Surziches being one of them, in which all 3 of them are part of the transcendent class, which automatically puts them within the top 10 strongest beings in our universe. Issei. Mind. Serious. Damn, so Nero seriously got me outbeat in both power and skill. Tightens his fist. Even with this newfound power, I'm still so far away from reaching the level of strength I need. Curious. So wait. Are you and Dante considered super devils as well? Dante. Smirks. Well, in terms of raw stats, then yeah, you could say that we're definitely super devil class, but since we weren't part of devil government, we're unofficially labeled as super devils. Issei. Mind. Serious. I see. Nero. Serious. That's true, and just like the kid, I don't want to get any civilians caught in the crossfire. Issei. Serious. Don't worry about the location, I actually have something that office gifted to me in order to help with my training, so it should suffice to withstand the level of our battle. Nero. Curious. You do? Issei. Serious while rummaging through his pocket. Yes, it's actually. Confused. Huh. When Issei took out what was in his pocket, in his hand was not the same key that office had given him in her treasury. The key in question had completely changed in both color and form. The key was now slim and completely made out of gold with minor gears to the side. It had 2 golden angelic wings on the handle, and at the center, a crimson draconic eye. The white-haired boy did not know what could have happened to the key in the short time he received it. Zenobia. Curious and confused. Huh. Issei, what happened to the key that office gave you? Issei. Confused. I don't know, but I know for sure that it was in this pocket and I've never seen this key before. Trish. Curious. So you're a sacred gear user? Issei. Startled. Huh. Yes, but this key isn't my sacred gear. Trish. Confused. Really, but that key is radiating an energy to that of a sacred gear, and a powerful one at that. Issei. Confused. This key is a sacred gear. Merlin. Smiles happily. Oh my goodness, I guess I have completely forgotten to mention that little tidbit. Ddraig. Sweat drops while eyes half open. Why am I not surprised? Issei. Mind. Serious. Spill Merlin, just what exactly do I have in my hands right now? Merlin. Smiles. Well, you see, Ice-kun, that key you have forged was indeed made by Leonardo da Vinci, or at least half it was her. Issei. Mind. Confused. Half. Merlin. Nods happily. Half. Serious. Constructing a key such at this time that Leonardo da Vinci was actually quite literally next to impossible even with magic. So in order to help make this key she needed help from a certain governor of the fallen angels that you know fairly well. Issei. Mind. Shocked. Huh. Azazel was the other half of the creation of this key. Merlin. Serious. Yes, but even with his help the task was considered quite difficult. The only way to make the key a reality was to do something that was both extremely reckless and dangerous. Issei. Mind. Curious. What did they do? Merlin. Serious. They had to rip a piece off of Leonardo's sacred gear in order to create the key. Issei. Mind. Shocked. Is that even possible, to take a piece of a sacred gear and implant it into another object? Merlin. Serious. In most cases yes, but the part that made it so dangerous and reckless was the fact that Leonardo's sacred gear is one of the 13 Longinus, which despite their potential and power to make their wielders, transcends the levels of a god. If mastered properly they are in fact extremely fragile if exposed. If someone were to somehow extract a Longinus class sacred gear they must do so carefully or else risk destroying that particular sacred gear forever. Issei. Mind. Surprised. Damn, that is dangerous, but to think I have a piece of another Longinus sacred gear in my hand, just like how I'm wielding the boosted gear. But wait, that doesn't explain how it changes shape after only having it for like only an hour or so. Ddraig. Serious. Well, if I had to guess it must be because it still operates similar to a sacred gear in which it changes and operates depending on the owner, in which case that is you. Issei. Mind. Serious. I guess that makes sense. So Merlin, do you know the name of the sacred gear that Leonardo had? Merlin. Smiles. Why yes, she was called Innovate Clear, also known as the sacred gear that lets one impersonate God. Issei. Mind. Curious. What does it do? Merlin. Smiles. Essentially it allows the user to create the user's ideal universe inside a pocket dimension. Issei. Mind. Shocked. Wow, talk about taking virtual reality to a whole other level. Curious. But does that mean since I changed it, does it mean that its primary function also changed? Merlin. Smiles. It's hard to say really, the only we can know for sure is if we go inside and see. Issei. Serious. I see. Zenobia. Concern. Issei, is everything alright? Issei. Startled. Huh. Smiles softly. Yeah, it's just nervous. I just found out that this key is actually part of the original 13 Longinus's Innovate Clear. Zenobia. Shocked. The sacred gear that lets one impersonate God. Issei. Surprised. Have you heard of it? Zenobia. Nods. Of course, it's standard exorcist education to know about all the sacred gears that have been recorded throughout history, especially those on the Longinus class. Issei. Serious. I guess that makes sense that exorcists should have knowledge about sacred gear, since it was the God of the Bible that created them in the first place. Issei. Mind. Thinking. Although it makes me wonder what would happen if I absorbed this key into the boosted gear similar to what I did with Ascalon. Would I be able to gain the abilities of Innovate Clear? No doubt it would be downgrade compared to the original, that's for sure. Ddraig. Serious. Well, that idea would be interesting to test out and see. I believe we should hold off on that experiment for the time being, since your top priority should be trying to master the powers and weapons you currently have at your disposal. Despite what you've been through in the last days, so to speak, you're still far off from rivaling those of all of us, as well as Albion's host. Issei. Mind. Serious. You're right, Ddraig, I shouldn't be adding more to my plate. Nero. Curious. So what does that key do anyway? Issei. Serious. Well, if I imagined it works like some of the animes I watched back home, then all I have to do is insert this key into a door, and when I open, it should take us to an alternate dimension in which we should train or battle to our heart's content. It was then Issei went over to the entrance of the office and positioned the key towards the lock, and after inserting the key into the lock, he began to turn the key, to which the outline of the door began to glow a bright crimson color. Once Issei opened the door, a bright red portal appeared in the place of the outside world, to which he turned to everyone else in the room. Issei. Curious. So. Shall we? But that said, Issei went into the portal first, with Zenovia following behind, and after exchanging a few glances with one another, the Devil May Cry crew decided to step through the portal. But when they got to the other side, they did not expect to see the scene in front of them. For starters, it was nighttime as well as a full moon. But in front of them was a massive lake with mountains stretching for what seemed almost like infinity. There were crimson red cherry blossom trees all around the area. But what shocked everyone the most was that there was endemic life in the area, ranging from deers, trees, birds, and even fish. Nero. Shocked. What is this place? Kiri. In awe. It's beautiful. Trish. Shocked. The fact that there are even animals here is unbelievable. Are they even edible? Lady. Curious. It feels like it made it to some camp-out retreat. Zenovia. Shocked. Issei, is this your ideal universe? Issei. Serious. I guess so. Eyes closed. It's so peaceful and quiet. Nero. Curious. Wait, did she just say that this was your ideal universe? Trish. Serious. She did, which should be no surprise since that is the power of Innovate Clear, the power to create your own personal universe essentially. Nero. Scratches the back of his head. Geez. I've heard that a lot of the sacred gears were problematic, but this is just ridiculous. Issei. Mind. Serious. So Merlin, can you tell what is going with this world? Have I unknowingly changed something? Merlin. Smiles. Unfortunately, I cannot tell due to me being in this state, but thankfully I have a spell that I've been secretly working for a few centuries now. All you need to do is perform it. Issei. Mind. Surprised. You want me to perform a spell that you've been working on for centuries? I mean, are you sure? If you've been watching me, then you should know that magic isn't really my forte. Merlin. Chuckles. My Issei, you really don't know, do you? Issei. Mind. Confused. What don't I know? Merlin. Smiles. I'm talking about the nature of the seal that your mother placed on you, of course. HMPH. Just perform the spell, you won't have difficulty with it, I promise. Issei. Mind. Serious. Okay, if you say so. Kiri. Curious while pointing. Hey, look everyone over there. Everyone. Curious. Huh. Issei. Blinks in surprise. A-E-H-H. Behind everyone stood a massive castle that was shining silver in color with crimson red accents, with the roofs made of what seemed like rubies. If Issei was being honest, he felt a bit overwhelmed that his ideal universe would have something like a castle in it, and if the silver-haired boy was being honest, the castle felt like it would belong to a demon king in a typical video game or manga, since for some reason, it did not feel holy or divine to him at the slightest, which deepened his curiosity as to why his mind would create a construct in the first place. Lady. Curious. I guess that's where we need to go. Nero. Serious. Let's go check it out. Issei. Serious. Wait. Everyone. Confused. Huh. Issei. Serious. Before we go, I need to do something in order to check the condition of this world. Zenovia. Curious. What are you gonna do? Issei. Serious. We're about to find out. Issei began to take a few steps ahead of everyone else and began to take a deep breath, trying to concentrate on the spell that Merlin had taught him. Once he gathered his thoughts, Issei extended his left hand and began to chant a spell. Issei. Serious. Heed my call. As soon as Issei said those words, a large magic circle appeared in front of him with a multitude of symbols and configurations that no one had seen before. Issei. Serious. My will creates your body, and your sword creates my destiny. If you heed the Grail's call and obey my will and reason, then answer my summoning. I hereby swear that I shall be all good in the world, that I shall defeat all evil in the world. Seventh heaven clad and the great words of power come forth from the circle of binding, guardian of the scales. Once those final words were called out, the magic circle began to glow brightly before a large beam of light shot up into the sky, blinding everyone. After a minute or two, the light began to die down. In front of everyone were 5 individuals that everyone except for Zenovia recognized in some shape or form. Issei. Shocked. No way. Merlin. Smiles. Told you, you could do it. Belzard. Amazed. Amazing, we're actually alive once more. Elsha. Amazed. Wow, it's been so long that I've almost forgotten what it was like to have flesh and blood again. Curious. But how to know for sure? Smirks mischievously. HMPH. It was then Elsha latched onto Issei, giving him a hug with his face planted between her breasts, which indeed caught the white-haired boy surprised, as his face became completely red from the sudden and soft sensation that he was currently experiencing. Elsha smiles. Well, tell me, Ice-kun, does it feel like I'm alive? Issei. Completely red. Elsha senpai. Zenobia. Slightly annoyed while a bit red. Hey. Grabs Issei's hand. Get your hands off of him. With great force, Zenobia was able to pull Issei away from Elsha, although as she was glaring at the blonde-haired woman, she unknowingly placed Issei's face between her own breasts, which did cause him to have steam coming out of his ears and blood trickling down his nose. Zenobia glares. I don't know who you are, but you can't be going around shoving men's faces into breasts, especially this man, since he is already someone he promised to be with. Elsha smiles mischievously. My. Aren't you the protective type, getting all flustered like that? Casually points. But aren't you being a bit hypocritical by doing the same thing? Zenobia. Confused. Issei. Struggling to breath. No. Via. I. Can't. Breath. Zenobia. Confused. Embarrassed. Oh no. Waves her hands frantically. I'm sorry, Issei, I didn't mean to, my body moved on its own and. Issei. Mind. Smiles weakly. Sort of weird being on the other side of someone frantically apologizing for accidentally doing something inappropriate to another. But I admit seeing her like this is honestly really cute and adorable. It's like she's a totally different person. Smiles sadly. But despite that, I would prefer the old Zenobia best, the one who is confident and sure of herself, even though her lack of common sense gets her into more awkward situations than not. I do hope that when she sees Irina again and explain everything to her, she will return to the Zenobia we all knew. Issei. Smiles weakly. It's fine, Zenobia, I understand you were just concerned for me, but please be nice to her, she's actually one of the past wielders of the boosted gear who is here to help me train. Zenobia. Surprised. She is. Bows nervously. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Elsha. Smiles. Foo. My goodness, you're too stiff for someone your age. Waves it off. You need to learn to relax a bit, dear. Zenobia. Embarrassed. Right. Dante. Smirks. Alright. Checks inside his pants. Yup, everything is where it should be. Vergil. Sighs annoyance. Must you really do something as vulgar as that in the presence of women, Dante? Dante. Smirks. What, don't act like you weren't thinking the same thing. Vergil. Looks away annoyed. TSK. Lady. Shocked. Dante, is that really you? Dante. Smirks. Yup, and literally in the flesh. Nero. Eyes narrowed. Vergil. Serious. Nero. As the father and son stared at each other, everyone in the vicinity could feel the cold and intense atmosphere as their aura began to increase violently, as if they were ready to fight before anyone could take their next breath. Upon seeing the tension, both Kiri and Issei decided to intervene, as battling right now would probably cause immense damage to this world. Kiri. Concerned. Nero. No. Nero. Annoyed. I'm sorry, Kiri, but this jackass has it coming to him. Issei. Serious. Vergil, don't do this. Vergil. Serious. Why not, he is asking for a fight, so it is only right that I give him a fight. Nero. Annoyed. I honestly can't believe that I'm repeating what Dante said, but you have some massive cogents for coming back. After everything you did, after everything I had to go through in order to stop you, but it was just never enough for you, father. Vergil. Serious. Issei. Serious. That is enough, you two are not fighting, understand? Nero. Eyes narrowed. And why the hell not? Issei. Eyes narrowed. Because you're fighting me first. Vergil. Raises an eyebrow in curiosity. Nero. Annoyed. To hell with that. Points at Vergil. This motherfucker has had it coming for a while now. So that's why I'm going to properly knock some sense into him once and for all. Vergil. Serious. No. Nero. Shocked. What? Vergil. Serious. You promised to battle this boy, and as such you should honor your promise to him. Once your battle with him is over and done with, if you truly want that rematch, then I'll gladly give it to you. Nero. Annoyed. Grrr. TSK, fine, then let's just get this over with. With that said, Nero quickly turned around and headed towards the manor, since he believed the place in which for him and Issei to battle would lie somewhere in there. Kiri, of course, seeing in such an angry state, decided to follow suit since she was worried about his emotional state and might make rash decisions. But she was not the only one, since Dante also had a concerned and troubled expression for his nephew, since he knew the innate grudge he had towards his brother, especially after everything he had done to him. Issei was also concerned for Nero despite just meeting him first the time, because he can understand the type of anger he has towards Vergil, since it was an anger that only a few could understand, which was the anger towards their father. He was concerned that his anger towards his father might make him sloppy during their battle. But the one who was actually most concerned was Vergil, since despite not showing it he did have concerns for Nero, and battling Issei, and seeing his past it made him wonder if Issei would have become just like Nero, a rebellious boy who was just angry at the world and trying to take it on alone. Vergil. Mind. Concern. Nero. Trish. Cough into her hand. Ahem. Smiles weakly. Well, that out of the way, I'm just curious on just how the hell you were able to bring Dante and Vergil from the grave. Issei. Curious. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, Merlin, before Nero got a bit ballistic. Merlin. Smiles. Why, it's simple, it's just a simple summoning resurrection spell that I developed a little while back, in which it is possible to summon the spirits of deceased beings into the physical world, as if they were alive. Although theoretically, in order to summon someone in particular you would need a conduit or something that was connected in their lives, in order to summon that person. Trish. Curious. So let's say Issei wanted to summon, I don't know. Waves her hand. Let's say Alexander the Great, he would need an artifact that was linked to him in order to bring his spirit here. Merlin. Smiles. Exactly, and though Issei already had Dante and Vergil's soul within him, it wasn't necessary to do that extra necessity. Issei. Confused. But what about you? You're not actually dead since you told that you're still in Avalon. Merlin. Smiles. Hence the reason why I asked you to get that key from office. Issei. Confused. Huh. Merlin. Gestures to the sky. Remember, Issei, this is still technically a whole separate universe that you created, though not as complete or refined. Then if you had the complete innovate clear, it still has some of the same capabilities as the original. Which means it also does not follow the same rules and history as our original world. Zenobia. Thinking. Which means you're never alive in the first place since this universe was just born. Merlin. Smiles. Correct, Zenobia-kun. Trish. Smirks. Essentially you just abused a loophole. Belzard. Confused. So wait, are we actually alive or not? Issei. Confused. And how the hell was I able to pull off such a complex spell like that? Merlin. Smiles. I'll gladly answer both of your questions. For starters, we are still technically spirits, but have been given physical form made from Issei's magical power. Elsha. Serious. So we're like ghosts. Merlin. Smiles. In a way, yes, but unfortunately we are only alive as long as we stay in this world, since you could say that this spell defies the natural order of our actual universe, which could spell big trouble for us, even if the balance of the world is already broken. As long as Issei has the magical energy to sustain our form, which thankfully in Issei's case the latter will not be an issue. Belzard. Curious. Though what happens if Issei were to run out of magical energy? Merlin. Serious. We would simply vanish, in which case you four would return back into Issei, while I would no doubt be forced back into Avalon. Dante. Shocked. Wait, so we can't go outside? Merlin. Serious. Unfortunately no. Dante. Mopes. Oh man, I finally get back to the world of the living, and I can't even get some pizza and strawberry sundaes, for fuck's sake. It has been over 3 years since I last had some. Vergil. Sighs in annoyance. Will you stop complaining? Issei. Confused. Wait, so I'm the one who is supplying everyone here, but how? I mean, sure, I have a bit more magical power than I did before, but there is no way I could sustain all you guys, at least not for very long. Merlin. Smiles. Well, actually Issei, you sort of can. Issei. Surprised. I can. Merlin. Smiles. You forget the last gift office gave you before you left. It was then Issei's eyes widened in disbelief as he placed his hand over his chest, as he remembered that office gave him a portion of her power, but he didn't know that this power would be so useful already. Issei. Shocked. But how? I thought you sealed that power until I was strong enough to withstand it. Merlin. Smiles. It is still sealed, but you could say that I attached an ethereal threat to each of us in order to sustain ourselves, so you could also say that office is the one giving us the magical power in order to do this. But to answer your original question on how you were able to perform such a complex spell like this so easily was simply because the seals that your mother placed on you were lifted. Lady Trish. Mind. Curious. His own mother sealed away his power. Issei. Curious. Yeah, you said that I didn't understand the nature of my seal. Merlin. Serious. Yes, you thought that all she did was just simply suppressed your innate magical power so much that you were essentially no different from that of a normal human, but in actuality that was only half of what she did. Issei. Confused. Half. Merlin. Serious. Yes, half. Sighs in exasperation. And honestly, I did wish that a Keno girl took just a little bit more time to teach and help refine your magical abilities, but at the same time I guess a bit of the blame is on me, since I should have intervened at the time. But to try to put it simply, think of the flow of magic like blood flowing through your veins, but you actually get to control where the blood flows to, and how much of it. Essentially what your mother did was tighten up those veins, so that barely any magic could be released. Whenever you boosted your power to perform any form of magical attack, you were essentially forcing those restraints to let out that magical power. Points at Issei. You're very lucky that you're naturally that durable, since I assure that if it was anyone else, then they would have ended up damaging their magic circuit so severely that they wouldn't probably be able to use magic ever again. Issei. Serious while looking at his hand. That does make sense, since I remember when I used Dragon Shot and how exhausted and a bit painful it was using it the first time. It was only after using it a few more times that the pain stopped, or more likely I just got used to it. Confused. But that still doesn't explain how I was able to cast such an advanced spell on my first try. I mean, shouldn't a spell like this take me at least over a year to even get a grasp on it? Merlin. Smiles. Now that part you could say that was mostly your luck coming into play, but you could also say it was thanks to your grandmother's lineage for helping you. Issei. Confused. My Abasan, do you mean King Arthur or the Abasan that I actually know? Trish. Shocked. Wait, King Arthur is your grandmother? Zenobia. Serious. I was pretty surprised as well, but apparently King Arthur was actually a woman in disguise and is somehow related to Issei. Lady. Serious. Talk about how every great man is even a greater woman. Merlin. Smiles. No, it's not those two, but you have met her before. You actually met your grandfather as well. Issei. Surprised. I have, when? Merlin. Smiles while pointing at Issei's necklace. It was her that gave you that necklace when you were just a child. Issei. Shocked while looking at his necklace. Those people were my grandparents. Merlin. Saddened. Yes, they are your grandparents from your mother's side, and it is through them how you are related to Artoria. Issei. Confused. But why? Saddened. Why didn't they say anything to me when we met? Did they think I was worthless just like her? Merlin. Serious. No, it wasn't that. In fact, they had no idea of what had happened to you at the time, but as for why they didn't reveal themselves to you, I believe it is best that you ask them yourselves. Issei. Serious. Merlin. Serious. Worry not, once we believe your training is over, then I'll happily guide you to them so that you talk to them. But for now your full attention should be on your training. Power you may have, but it's raw and unrefined. Summons magic circle. So we will have to teach you from scratch in order for your skill to match the power you currently have, and once that is done we can push you further to the next level. Issei. Serious. Right, stuff like that can wait for now. Well, I do want answers. I need to focus on understanding this new power that I have, and possibly going further beyond it. Eyes narrowed while clenching his fists. I need power. I need the power in order to protect those still close to me, and to take on this threat that is coming. I know just training will not help me get the power I need in order to do so, but it's a start. I want to. No, I need to be as strong as. It was then the image of his rival Vali came into his mind, and how he remembered how powerful he was in his balance breaker, being able to take down a cadre like Kokabiel like it was nothing. He could still remember the feeling that he had during that encounter, the immense pressure and power he felt, and his instincts telling him that he was no doubt holding back a bit of his true strength. But the feeling he didn't want to admit and kept it from everyone including himself was that he was excited for no unexplainable reason. A part of him felt pure excitement meeting his destined rival, his blood boiling and his instincts roaring at him to challenge him, to prove that he was indeed a dragon worthy of being called Sekiryuutei. Now that the white-haired boy thought about it, maybe that was the real him trying to get out, the part of him that had what it meant to be the Sekiryuutei, but it was being suppressed and caged due to his perversion. Issei. Serious. I need to be at least as strong as Vali. If I can manage to go toe-to-toe with him, then I can at least for sure that I'm at least somewhat close to gaining the strength I need. Issei's eyes began to glow a deep crimson with tiny silver sparkles within them, as if they were the very stars themselves when he said those words. As his body radiated an aura of both crimson and silver perfectly intertwined that made everyone watching in awe of the beauty of such vibrant and beautiful colors, essentially being one and releasing such a powerful but warm and peaceful atmosphere, was something that no one would ever see happen in their lives. But at the same time Merlin, Belzerd, Elsha, Dante, and Vergil couldn't help but have confident and warm expression as they knew that once Issei was done with training that he will no doubt become an unstoppable force of nature, like a star climbing towards the heavens themselves. Merlin. Smiles. Well, the way you are now, I believe that goal is not far from your reach. Vergil. Serious. No, when we are done with you your rival will think not only twice but 4 times before facing you. Dante. grins while pointing at himself. And thankfully for you I fought one of the previous Sekiryuutei and know how to handle that pesky divide ability they have. Belzard. Smiles. As I have since I defeated the Sekiryuutei twice, and not only will Elsha and I teach on how to use the boosted gear, we will teach our own form of combat to make you more versatile. Issei. Mind. Sweats nervously. I still can't believe this guy defeated the Sekiryuutei. Even if I do match up to Volley, will I even be able to match up to him? I guess there are a few people I need to surpass. I just hope I can live up to that standard. Elsha. Smiles. On top of that we'll show you ways on how to use Ddraig's power that you never thought of before. Issei. Smiles. Thank you. Looks around. All of you, I promise you that what you teach me will not go to waste. Trish. Surprised. Wait, boosted gear, does that mean that you're this generation Sekiryuutei? Lady. Curious. Really, not to sound too harsh, but you don't look or sound like the Sekiryuutei I've heard about. Issei. Smiles weakly. Yeah, I know as I am right now I'm probably not all that impressive and a far cry away from being called someone who is possessed by one of the most powerful beings in the universe. Lady. Smiles. HMPH. Well, you don't really seem like a bad kid, just had shitty parents is all. Issei. Shocked. How did you? Lady. Smiles sadly. I can see it in your eyes, the betrayal that can only be done to you only if they were your own blood. Believe me, I've been in that situation and unfortunate for me I did not have so much of a happy ending, but I can tell you haven't gotten off the deep end, so here's a piece of advice from someone who has been in your shoes. Forget about them and forge your own path, since the more you think about them the more control they have over you. Issei. Serious. Believe me, I want to, but as the old saying goes, blood is thicker than water, so it might be a while for me to forget about them. Lady. Smiles sadly. I never said it would be easy, nothing ever is, but that still doesn't change the point that I'm trying to make, which is to try and forget about them, or else you'll never be able to truly start the next chapter of your life. Issei. Serious. I'll try. Merlin. Smiles. Well then, I think we have been standing around a bit too long, don't you think? If we don't hurry up and catch up, Nero might break something out of frustration. Issei. Serious. You're right, come on Zenobia, because no doubt it will take us a while to search the place. Zenobia. Nods. Right. Elsha. Smiles. Well then, let's go, Ice-kun, let's just see what kind of castle you make yourself. Belzard. Serious. I might as well go as well. Dante. Curious. Maybe there might be a kitchen for stuff to make a strawberry sundae, or maybe hopefully a brick oven to make all the pizza I want. Trish. Smirks. Is that all you're thinking about still? Lady. Sweat drops with eyes half open. Gosh, you're hopeless for a dead guy. Dante. Serious. Hey, I have every right to ask that. Points at Lady and Trish. You two got to enjoy the pleasures of being alive, while I've been starved of life's greatest pleasures. Lady. Sighs. Well, come on, we should at least see what just this kid has to offer. As everyone made their way to the castle, the only ones left behind were Merlin and Vergil, who the latter was staring at the legendary mage with both annoyance and suspicion. Merlin. Smiles. So now that everyone is gone, are you going to ask me the question you've been wanting to ask since we arrived? Vergil. Eyes narrowed. Why? Merlin. Plays dumb. Why what? Vergil. Eyes narrowed. Why go through all this trouble of us going to find Nero to train Issei when you had an idea up your sleeve this entire time? Merlin. Smiles. HMPH. Why indeed? Vergil. Eyes narrowed. I'm starting to see why Issei wanted to kill you as soon as he saw you. Merlin. Smiles sadly. I suppose, but I guess you say I did this for you. Vergil. Confused. For me? Merlin. Smiles. The chance for a father to reconnect with their son, to possibly remedy a wrong done to him long ago, and quite possibly see a path you easily could have taken. Vergil. Serious. What do you mean, a path I could have taken? Merlin. Smiles. You may have indeed an impressive poker face, but I could tell what you were thinking. Vergil. Serious. And what exactly was I thinking? Merlin. Smiles. How similar both Issei and Nero are, that if Issei were to be left alone, then Issei would have no doubt ended up just like Nero or even worse. If only he had someone to properly guide him, then his fate might be different. Vergil. Annoyed while walking away. TSK. As Vergil began to leave to catch up with the others, Merlin couldn't help but chuckle a bit, as he knew he struck a bit of nerve on the legendary swordsman, but it also confirmed what was in Vergil's mind. But as the Merlin was just finishing up checking on the stability of this pocket universe, he noticed something off about it. Merlin. Curious. What is this? Now this is interesting, looks like there is a portion of this world that Issei's mind did not. Possibly a fragment of the world before this one, just what could it be? With the others 1 hour later. It had been close to an hour since everyone had entered the mysterious castle inside this pocket universe Issei had unknowingly created, and just as one would expect from a large medieval castle, it was almost unnecessarily large, which made it hard for some of those in the group to keep track of where they were. This of course made Issei confused as to why would his mind make something this luxurious in the first place. Despite everything, he was a simple guy with simple needs. He would have possibly preferred maybe a small manor or a cabin, but if he had to chalk it up, it must have been what he said when he fought Vergil about no longer wanting to be a soldier, but a king, in which this castle might have been the manifestation of wanting to become a king himself. But throughout walking the many corridors of this castle, they had to admit they were able to find many interesting areas of this large castle, with rooms that could hold up to at least a dozen people, with the master bedroom being on the highest floor of the castle, with the throne room being a floor below it. The castle also had a kitchen large enough for a 5-star restaurant, a zen garden, and a massive pool that would no doubt fit someone as large as Ddraig. There were also a few large empties in which Merlin suggested that they would be made into a mage's workshop, which he briefly explained it's a unique space for mages and witches to practice and create different forms of magic. But if there was one thing that excited Issei the most, was the room that held an alternate pocket dimension, where the gravity and temperature of the room changes rapidly, since he truly felt he was indeed inside the hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball. But the parts of the castle that Issei and the others could not figure out were some of the modern aspects that were added into the castle. There was a TV in the living room which essentially had every channel imaginable, which excited Dante, since it meant he could catch up on all his shows. The castle was running on electricity, which Merlin deduced that the palace must have some sort of magic generator located somewhere that was producing power to the castle. When Trish opened up her phone to take some pictures of the castle, she was surprised to see that there was some form of internet connection, but she couldn't make calls to others in the real world. When Issei asked Merlin as to why all these modern aspects were in this world, he simply said that essentially in this world he is God, and that the laws of this world were what he or his subconscious made of it, and to not worry about it and don't overthink it. This of course made the silver-haired boy annoyed by the response, but he also figured that Merlin also possibly didn't know how it all worked, which made sense to him, since the secrets behind sacred gears, especially those in the Longinus class, still hold many mysteries that have not been discovered to this day. But after a long search, all of them gathered at the back of the castle, where a large sports dome was located, and in front of them were 2 large doors. Nero. Curious. So. You might find something in here. Issei. Shrugs shoulders. Maybe, looks around. We've practically searched this place from top to bottom and did not find anything in which we fight besides that alternate space room. Vergil. Serious. Yes, but given the conditions of that room, it would not be suitable for battle, but rather training or intense spars. Issei. Smiles with excitement. I swear even if I lose, I'm just gonna train my ass off in that room. I swear despite everything, this is a dream come true. I feel like Goku, ready to train in order to try to take on Perfect Cell. Nero. Sweat drops. Geez. You really are a nerd. Issei. Annoyed. Hey asshole. Points back at the castle. I'll have you know that room. That room is every Dragon Ball fan's greatest dream and fantasy, to be able to enter the hyperbolic time chamber to get a year's worth of intense training in just a day, and it would be a million times awesome if you were trained by Goku. Though thinking back on it, I think I would have been slightly more motivated if I was trained by Vegeta, since reading and watching what he did in the hyperbolic time chamber during the Cell Saga was truly awe-inspiring, truly a testament of doing whatever it takes to surpass your limits in order to gain strength. Zenobia. Sweat drops while smiling weakly. Issei, your mind is wandering off. Issei. Startled. Huh. Smiles sheepishly while scratching the back of his head. Oh, sorry, I guess I went on a bit of a rant, did I? Zenobia. Mind. Smiles softly. I guess just like Arena, he also tends to wander off in his own little world. Dante. Shrugs shoulders. Well, in any case, let's see what's behind this door. With that said, both Issei and Nero began to push the door open with all their might, and after it was finally opened, in front of them was a long dark corridor with torches being simultaneously lit up on each side. Seeing no other choice, the group began to walk through the long corridor, in which it did not take long for them to see a light on the other side of the hall. But what they saw on the other side had them speechless. In front of them was a massively large coliseum that had statues of different warriors throughout time on each corner, but the part that threw them off was the sky, in which it was nighttime and filled with stars. Issei. In awe. Whoa. Zenobia. In awe. It's beautiful. Lady. Confused. So there's an artificial sky acting as the ceiling for the place. Merlin. Smiles. It would seem so. I guess Issei does have an artistic mind and imagination. Issei. Whisper. In awe. These are just like the skies in Avalon. Nero. Serious. Either way, we finally found the arena. Looks to Issei. Ready to get your ass beaten, Issei. Issei. Serious. I won't be defeated so easily. Even if you are Vergil's kid, I won't back down no matter what. Nero. Serious. We'll see about that. Looks to Vergil. Once we're done, you and I are going to settle things. Vergil. Serious. Your focus should be on the match with Issei, do not underestimate him. Nero. Annoyed. TSK. Vergil. Mind. Serious. You are letting your negative emotions towards me cloud you, Nero. Looks to Issei. And I believe someone as dumb as Issei can't see that and will no doubt take advantage of it. But even so, you will so learn why I forfeited to Issei, for he has an undying will that I've never witnessed before, truly unbreakable soul even in his most darkest hour, to the point where his soul shines brighter like a star. It is no wonder he is Malzeno's reincarnation. When it comes to that one aspect of him, even though I would not like to admit it, he is leagues above me, and it is that one aspect which will make him the strongest in the world one day. As soon as Vergil finished those thoughts, both Issei and Nero headed towards the stadium while everyone sat in the stands. Both combatants could stare at each other, trying to ready themselves for battle as Issei summoned DSI in its katana form, which did surprise both Vergil and Dante as to why he chose his new sword over Ascalon. Vergil. Mind. Serious. Why use it in that form? You're not skilled enough to use a sword like that. Dante. Mind. Serious. What the hell is this kid thinking? I would have sort of understood if he used it in its dual blade mode, but why the katana? He has never used one before and is definitely not as skilled as Vergil or I. Issei. Serious. Where is your weapon? I noticed that you didn't bring the Red Queen with you. Nero. Serious. I'm guessing Dante or Vergil told you about the weapon I used, huh? But to answer your question, I longer possess the Red Queen. Not since after the fall of the Quilpith tree. Issei. Serious. Then how are we gonna fight, unless you want to settle it with our fist? Nero. Smirks. HMPH. I never said that I didn't bring a weapon. Everyone with the exception of Trish, Lady, and Kiri were indeed confused by what Nero meant when said that, since the Red Queen was Nero's signature weapon along with the blue rose. Not wanting to waste any more time, Nero stretched out his right hand, in which particles of demonic power began to gather, and what appeared in Nero's hand, he held large curved sword that looked similar to that of a giant kitchen knife that looked to be made of out the same material as DSD, with 3 exhausts at the base of the blade, with what seemed to be a motorcycle handle. Overall, it looked just like the Red Queen, but it was completely at the same time as it radiated a great amount of demonic power that made Issei weary of it. Issei. Shocked. What is that? Nero. Smirks. Meet the devil sword, Nero. Dante. Surprised. DSN, where and how the hell did he get that? Vergil. Looks to Lady and Trish. I would also like to know. Trish. Serious. Well, remember when you were Urizen and destroyed Rebellion? Vergil. Stoic. Vaguely. Trish. Serious. Well, after you two knuckleheads cut the root of the Quilpith seed and closed the gateway of the underworld, we went back to the area to help clean up the remaining demons that were lurking around in the city. Lady. Serious. That's where we found pieces of rebellion in the rubbles of your old house, and when Nero found out how you evolved your devil trigger, he got an idea, but it wasn't easy. Kiri. Serious. Even with Nico's expertise in devil arms, we had to hire a personal alchemist to help reforge the Red Queen. Trish. Serious. Well, I had to travel to the underworld to gather some rare material that could only be found there. Once it was all complete, the Red Queen was no more, and in its place was DSN. Issei. Serious. I see. So you also now have a demonic sword as well. Nero. Smirks. Ready to back out. Issei. Serious. No. Nero. Mind. Serious. Man, this kid is stubborn. I can tell as clearly as day that he is a complete novice when it comes to swordsmanship of any style or no real hard in battle experience. His power is almost on par with high-tier high-class devil or maybe a low-tier ultimate class, but it's too raw and untamed, meaning either he can't control his power or he was never trained on how to control it in the first place. Confused. Just how in the hell was this kid able to make Vergil admit defeat? Issei. Serious. Like I said, even though you are Vergil's son and are the descendant of an extremely powerful demon, I will not lose to you. Issei. Mind. Serious. Cyrus, whatever happens, neither you, Umbra, or Ifrit must not intervene. No matter the outcome may be. Cyrus. Nods in understanding. We understand, master. Tightening his grip on his sword, Issei got into an Iajutsu stance with his katana, which shocked and surprised everyone in the arena, especially Vergil. Zenobia. Shocked. When did Issei learn a style using a katana? Lady. Confused. Wait, you mean to tell me he has never used a weapon before? Zenobia. Serious. He wields the holy dragon slaying sword Ascalon, but that's in Western sword, and even then he has no skill with a weapon. Trish. Serious. So he's at a serious disadvantage against someone like Nero. Vergil. Surprised. When did he? Huh. As Vergil continued to stare at Issei's stance, a visage began to emerge right next to him, and what he saw shocked him. When the visage became clear to him, he saw that it was actually him standing next to him in the same position and stance. This of course made the white-haired man have a smirk of satisfaction, akin to a father of being proud of his son, as he didn't think the boy would be to copy him after just one fight with him. Though he will admit his stance is a bit sloppy and could already guess he is nowhere near his level of skill. But he was not the only one who noticed, as both Dante and Nero noticed the visage of Vergil next to Issei, which also caught them by surprise. Vergil. Mind. Smirks. Being able to copy my stance but also possibly my moves after just fighting me once is indeed an impressive skill that not a lot fighters possess, which will no doubt make you a dangerous opponent. Although it's obvious that you are nowhere near my level of swordsmanship, the fact that you have a foundation makes it easier for us to train you. Nero. Mind. Eyes narrowed. Is he really copying my old man's style of swordsmanship? There is no way he is able to copy so advanced after just one fight. Right. Issei. Mind. Serious. I think I have his stance right, even though it's just a poor imitation, it's something that I can work with for the time being. Smirks. HMPH. Honestly, and here I thought all my hours playing videos and being an all-around otaku would be useless for me when it comes to battle, always both mentally and physically trying to replicate those moves have in a way paid off. Ddraig. Serious. Why did you decide to use this sword in its katana form, partner? I would have understood if it used it in its dual blade form or simply used Ascalon, but why the katana? You do know you can't simply just swing it around like with Ascalon. Issei. Mind. Serious. I think you know why. Ddraig. Ddraig. Serious. Ah, I see. So that's what you're trying to do. Well, commendable, you are seriously putting yourself more into a disadvantage than you already are. Issei. Mind. Serious. I know what I'm doing might be considered idiotic, but I feel as though I need to do this, as if both my heart and soul are demanding that I take this path, and I can't help but agree with them. This is only the path, there is no other. The path for Nero to see the truth once and for all. Issei. Serious. Ready, Nero. Nero. Smirks. HMPH. Ready as I'll ever be, let's rock. Whoosh. Boom. With that said, both Issei and Nero charged at each other at blinding speed that everyone with the exception of Dante and Vergil could not keep track. When their blades first clashed, it resulted in massive shockwaves that formed cracks in the area around them, in which everyone in the stands could feel the pressure even at a long distance. Issei could already feel the overwhelming difference between them, but he was not going to let that deter him, since one way or another he would beat Nero one way or another. Nero on the other hand was indeed impressed by Issei's speed, since he thought he would have instantly had him on the ground, and even though he was holding back, he was impressed how Issei was able to stand after just one clash of their blades. Nero. Smirks. Not bad, kid, not getting on your knees after just one clash of my sword. Issei. Serious. I won't back down, I don't give a damn who you are. It doesn't matter if you are demon, angel, dragon, or even a god, I will fight for not only what I believe in, but for my loved ones. Nero. Mind. Eyes narrowed. Stubborn one is he. With that said, Issei quickly backed away from Nero in order to charge at him once again to try to attack, in which he held his blade sideways for a horizontal slash attack. When Vergil and Nero saw this approach, they immediately sighed, since they knew that the approach that Issei was going with was so obvious, but it wasn't until the silver-haired boy got closer to Nero, in which they noticed the blade being imbued with both demonic and draconic power. Upon sensing the nature of the energy of the sword, Nero's instincts flared up as he sensed the danger coming from the power imbued inside the blade. Nero. Mind. Eyes narrowed. What the hell was that? That was no doubt demonic power, but it seems it was infused with something else. Could it have been infused with his draconic power on top of it? Either way, I shouldn't let attacks fused with that kind of power hit me, or else things might get a little bit tricky. I know for sure I could tank it, but rather not cut my losses if he somehow cuts me too much. Issei. Mind. Eyes narrowed. Damn it, I missed it. But in truth Issei didn't miss, because unbeknownst to them, that where Issei slashed, an invisible air that no one could sense was slowly making its way towards Nero. Issei and Nero were about to get ready to perform their next attack until slash. Nero coughs out blood. Blurg. Issei. Confused. Huh. Everyone else. Shocked. Huh. At that moment a deep horizontal slash appeared on Nero's abdomen. The cut was deep enough to the point that it almost seemed that the white-haired man was about to be cut in half. In that moment Nero had to get down on one knee, while placing pressure on the area where the slash appeared, and even though he would recover and heal quickly, he had to admit the attack was indeed fairly painful, and couldn't help but think he felt this kind of attack somewhere before. All the while Issei couldn't help but stand there dumbfounded and confused at what just happened to Nero and what could have caused it. Issei. Confused. What just happened? Ddraig. Serious. It was you, partner. Issei. Mind. Confused. Me. What did I do or how did I do it? Ddraig. Serious. When you charged to attack Nero, you unknowingly poured a great amount of both your demonic and draconic power into your blade. Afterwards you also unknowingly used another of Vergil's techniques that utilizes Yamato's space manipulation abilities, in which you created an invisible spatial attack that hardly anyone could notice. To be honest, if I wasn't inside your head and watching on what you were doing closely, I doubt that I could tell what happened. Issei. Mind. Surprised. I did. Looks at his blade. I honestly didn't even notice pouring any power into my blade at all. I was too busy focusing on trying to put every ounce of physical strength into my swing. Ddraig. Serious. It must be a result of your seals being undone. Now that you have a large supply of magical power flowing within you, it should now be easier for you to perform magical attacks, like how you were able to summon Merlin and the others. Since you haven't had that much magic control training, you unknowingly poured a lot of your power into the blade without even realizing it. Issei. Mind. Serious. Damn, and I don't even feel exhausted or anything, and I was able to do something like that to Nero. I could imagine if I had boosted my power beforehand. Ddraig. Serious. Do not get carried away, partner. Well, you now have a large pool of magical power flowing within you does not mean you are invincible. Remember, no doubt Nero is holding back a great deal of his full power. If I were you, I would try to not pour in so much of your power into every one of your attacks, or else you'll be exhausted before you know it. Issei. Mind. Serious. You don't have to tell me twice. We are dealing with someone who could go up against a god-class being or above at full strength, whereas I'm just barely comparable to that of a high-class demon. Eyes narrowed. The gap in strength between us is just as far as comparing myself to Vergil, Dante, you, and especially Malzeno. If he so wanted to, he could have easily ended our duel within one strike, but I guess just Vergil he is willing to give me a chance. Slightly saddened. If he only knew he and Vergil were more alike than they might think, because I can see it in his eyes. He truly desires power, but the only difference between him and his father is that he is not willing to go such extreme lengths to obtain it. Ddraig. Serious. And that is what you are trying to do in this battle with him, to show him that he is just another version of his father who took a more righteous path. Issei. Mind. Serious. I don't know if I were to use those exact words because it's not like I know everything about his past, but in simple terms, yes. Sadden. I believe he knows it too deep down inside, but he's in denial. I want to show him the truth about himself, just like how I was somehow able to convince Vergil to accept every aspect of himself, so he can begin to let go. Ddraig. Mind. Serious. So he really doesn't remember what happened at the of his and Vergil's fight. Nero. Serious. Hey, what are you doing? Issei. Surprised. Huh. When Issei saw Nero, he was surprised to see that the wound that he gave him was already nearly healed. Well, he knew that as a demon he would heal far more quickly than humans, but the fact that his injury was something similar to being almost cut in half, which would kill anyone no matter if they were a supernatural being, and was already being close to being fully healed, was something he did not expect. The only time Issei had ever seen healing this potent and powerful were those from the Phoenix family. Issei. Mind. Shocked. His regeneration. It's just like Risers when we fought him in the raiding game. I didn't think anyone else except those in the Phoenix clan have such godlike regenerative ability. Ddraig. Serious. Remember, partner, Nero is related to the true demon race that predated the 72 pillars you are accustomed to, the true demons that were born from the spark of creation itself. As such, all of the powers that you may know or not know about from the 72 pillars came from them in the first place. Issei. Mind. Serious. Damn, which means he already essentially has the Phoenix's power of immortality, but could that mean that there are true demons out there that could possibly use the power of destruction like Rias? Ddraig. Serious. Yes, it is possible for one to be born with a power similar to the power of destruction. Issei. Mind. Sweats nervously. Fuck me, I'm seriously out of my depth here, Ddraig. I mean, I was only able to beat Riser thanks to the power of the Holy Cross and Holy Water that Asia gave me. I mean, sure, I could use Ascalon and use its holy attributes to help wear him down, but this guy, but I don't think someone like him would ever let me get enough hits in order to do the right amount of damage to get the upper hand. I'm just having trouble figuring out just how to take down someone who is as immortal as Riser without the use of holy items. As Issei finished his thoughts, Nero began to get up from the ground with his right hand twirling DSN around, about to get ready to attack again. Nero. Serious. Hey. I said, why are you just standing around like that? Issei. Serious. I didn't want to take you down in such a weakened state, especially when you are just holding back, because if I did that there would be no meaning in a victory like that. Vergil. Serious. That is indeed a good code of ethics to follow for a warrior. Dante. Serious. Yeah, it's all nice and sweet if you were fighting against someone who values honor above anything else, or if it was just a normal. But in the real world, when you are going up against an enemy whose only thought is to win no matter the cost, then. Eyes narrowed. Things get ugly real fast. Nero. Smirks. Key. I see, so you think by acting all chivalrous and honorable that you'll be able to win any battle. Defeat any opponent in front of you, no problem whatsoever. Issei. Serious. Nero. Serious. I see. So that's how it is then. Well, in that case, let me tell you this. Issei. Surprised. It was then with godlike speed Nero charged towards Issei, sending him skidding towards the other side of the arena. If it wasn't for him using his aura to quickly see what Nero was about to do, then he would have no doubt been severely injured or close to death with that attack. Nero. Annoyed. That type of shit only happens in fairy tales. You don't win battles just because you have a sense of honor or by being chivalrous. You win by being stronger and dominating your enemy. Zenobia, upon seeing that speed and force of the attack, became worried since she saw Issei's expression before Nero's attack, which meant he wasn't anticipating the attack or if he was going to survive the attack. Zenobia. Concern. Oh no, eyes. Alsha. Smiles softly. It's okay, Zenobia, he's fine. Zenobia. Concern. How can you be sure? Vergil. Serious. Because he fought against me and survived. Zenobia. Surprised. Vergil. Serious. You see, Nero is currently holding back a great deal of his power because he does not want to accidentally kill Issei. But when I fought Issei so he could wield Yamato, I didn't hold back not a single attack against him. Despite being only just a soul in which my true strength was greatly reduced, he still held his own. Whether it was just luck or not, it is up to you, but the point still hasn't changed. Zenobia. Concern. So wait, just how strong were you when you fought Issei? Vergil. Serious. If I had to make a rough guess, I would say I was on par with a Satan-class demon when I fought him. Zenobia. Shocked. Satan class. Dante. Mind. Sweat drops with eyes half open. Vergil, you fucking liar, you were totally holding back during the first half of the battle. It wasn't until Issei helped you conquer your trauma and he unlocked his balance breaker that you decided to get serious. Dante. Smirks. Yeah, so I wouldn't worry about him too much, although if he doesn't hurry up and get serious, he might be entering into a world of hurt. Zenobia. Mind. Concern. Issei. Just what are you trying to do? Crash. With that explosion, everyone could see the wall of the arena being completely destroyed with Issei in the midst of the rubble. Though thankfully Issei wasn't seriously injured, there were indeed a few bruises, a bit of blood coming from his mouth, and possibly a broken bone or two, but nothing that would stop him from continuing to keep on fighting. The silver-haired boy was grateful that he had gotten used to this new ability he was given by Malzeno, though while useful it did not make him invincible, since there was no point of seeing your opponent's next move if his body couldn't keep up with it in the first place. But he was still thankful that he was able to block Nero's in time, or else the fight might have been over before it even started. But when Issei looked up, he could see Nero standing over him with a serious expression with a hint of disappointment on his face. Issei. Grunts in pain. Nero. Serious. It's good that you have a sense of morality, kid, it truly is, but in this world of ours the enemy that you'll face may not have a sense of honor and will no doubt use any underhanded trick they can think of in order to defeat or even kill you. Issei. Eyes narrowed while grunting in annoyance. Nero. Serious. I know that you don't like the idea of playing dirty, but whether you like it or not, you'll fight an opponent who will be better than you in some aspect, whether it's through sheer power or intellect. That enemy will see right through you and exploit whatever weakness you may have. Eyes narrowed. That person may even go as far using those close to you against you, and when that happens, what will you do? Issei couldn't help but close his eyes acknowledgement, because what Nero said was right, since he knew that despite having this new amazing power and being actually related to two amazing beings that helped shape this world's history, deep down underneath all that he felt that he was still plain old Issei Hyoudou. The perverted fool who that everyone believed who would never amount to anything no matter how hard he tried, always destined to live and die as a fool. What can a perverted fool really do against someone who is no doubt stronger and smarter than him? Absolutely nothing, in which will lead him to have a fool's death, with him being just a forgotten memory. If an enemy were to take someone he still cared about hostage or use against him, then he would be powerless, since any move he would make would put that person in danger. Issei knew he had no right to talk about honor and chivalry, since even before what happened to him with the people he used to call his family, the only thing he cared about was seeing naked breasts whenever he felt like it. He even made that ridiculous dress break technique in which he could see naked breasts just by touching a woman's clothing, in which when Issei looked back on it, that could have been a form of sexual harassment, which was something that Issei would never want to perform. But he couldn't let what the past dictate his future, or else he will be stuck in the present. While he may have a long way to go to reform himself from the person he once was to the person he wants to become, he wasn't going to let whatever Nero say get to him. Issei. Serious. No. Nero. Curious. Issei, using his sword as support, got up from the rubble and stared at Nero, with his eyes brimming with power and defiance, which did surprise Nero a bit. Issei. Serious. I won't throw away whatever honor I may have or may gain in the future just to win, because if I did that I would lose the parts of the person who I am trying to become. Nero. Mind. Confused. The person he is trying to become. Issei. Serious while pointing at Nero. That is why I will not use some cheap or underhanded tactics to win my battles, and if you are calling me a fool, then you might as well your entire family lineage a lineage of fools, because each of them lived as an honorable warrior in their own right. Nero. Serious. That still doesn't change the fact you will no doubt face someone that is stronger than you. Issei. Serious. Then I'll get stronger. Nero. Serious. That person could be smarter than you. Issei. Serious. Then I'll outsmart them. Nero. Eyes narrowed. Has anyone ever told you that you are incredibly stubborn? Issei. Serious. A lot actually, but that still doesn't change what I want to strive to become. I'll become someone who is honorable and honest to both himself and to those close to him. I'll become a warrior that is so powerful that even the gods themselves will think twice before messing with me and those who I hold dear. One way or another I will obtain that power, the power to change the outcome of any battle in my favor, and eventually the power to change fate and destiny itself. Upon saying those words, Issei's body glowed a dark silver and cardinal red light, with his eyes shining in the deepest shade of crimson, which had everyone in awe at the sight. But what shocked everyone next was that it seemed that the wounds that Issei had received from Nero's attack began to heal rapidly to the point where the wounds never existed there in the first place. The silver-haired boy hadn't noticed that his wounds had been healed as he was too focused on Nero and reading his next attack to even notice. It was then Issei tightly gripped his sword and got back into a stance reading to attack. Issei. Serious. And the only way to become that person is to get through you. Nero. Smirks. HMPH. I see, it seems you're an alright kid after all, in which case. Vroom, vroom. It was then Nero began rev up DSN, charging it up with demonic power, in which Issei saw blue flames coming out the exhausts near the guard of the sword. Nero. Smirks. Shall we dance? Silence, absolute silence was all that was heard in the arena, with tension so high everyone in the stands could only hold their breaths as they waited in anticipation as to what the two were about to do next. But before any of them could even think about blinking, the two individuals disappeared from sight, to which they reappeared again in the air, with both of their aura and demonic power radiating from their body through the clash of their blades. The initial shockwave was massive enough to destroy the floor beneath them and sent high-pressure wind towards the winds, which caused Zenobia, Lady, and Kiri to cover her eyes from the initial pressure hitting their face, while everyone else was not fazed from the little wind hitting their face. On the wind, the three females saw that both Nero and Issei disappeared and reappeared again and again in almost godlike speed. Zenobia was indeed amazed how much faster Issei had gotten in the short time since becoming a dragon, since from what she saw he was probably on par or even faster than Hyoudou. But since she was human again, her eyes couldn't entirely keep track of where Issei and Nero would appear. Zenobia. Eyes narrowed. I can hardly keep track of how fast they're going. Kiri. Smiles weakly. I can understand how you feel. I usually don't see Nero fighters show off his abilities, but. Smiles softly. A part of me can't help but be amazed at what he can do. Zenobia. Concern. Is he really serious about the whole throwing away your honor and chivalry in order to win a fight? I would have thought as the grandson of the legendary Dark Knight he would always fight fair. Kiri. Giggles. Foo, foo, foo. Smiles softly. No, he wasn't serious about that. He was trying to see what kind of person Issei is, and given that smile he had right before they clashed, I say that he approves of him. Zenobia. Sweat drops. Really, I honestly can't read him. Dante. Smirks while pointing at Vergil. Don't feel bad, he gets that hard to read vibe from his old man here. Vergil of course did not respond to the jab that Dante gave him, since eyes were indeed focused on the battle between Issei and Nero, in which it was going horrible for Issei, since he was still using DSI in its katana, and not Ascalon, which was a sword he was already familiar with, and give him an edge. But while Issei was able to land a few strikes on Nero by mimicking his moves, it was not enough to give Nero any worry. Kiri smiles weakly. I understand that Nero may come off as a bit short-tempered and rebellious, but he's actually a very kind and sweet person. In fact, he's actually back with Issei. Meanwhile, the clash between Issei and Nero was steadily increasing, but unfortunately it wasn't faring well for Issei, as he was on the defensive against Nero's onslaught. Even though he was able to land a few blows on him, it was essentially meaningless, since the wounds would just regenerate almost instantly. The same thing could be said himself, but the problem was that every time his wounds healed, he felt both his energy and stamina slowly giving away. Issei mind. Eyes narrowed. Damn. No matter how many times I cut him, he will keep on regenerating, all the while slowly steadily losing power by the second. If this keeps up, then Ddraig. Serious. Then in that case we might need to take it to the next level. Issei mind. Nods. Right. Nero mind. Serious. This kid is not half bad, still a novice at using a sword of that design, but he is holding his ground for the most part. Eyes narrowed. But he is wasting too much of his energy way too quickly. At best he will only last about 10 or so minutes. Just as Nero finished that thought, he barely was able to dodge a flurry of relentless strikes from Issei, swinging his sword upward. Well, that looked awfully like his roulette spin. But as Nero saw Issei perform that attack, he couldn't help but see the visage of his father right next to him, and the eyes that Issei had were exactly like Vergil, to the point he couldn't tell the difference, which truly irked him. The eyes that were filled with the endless desire for power, no matter the cost. Nero mind. Eyes narrowed. But why? Why do you mimic that man, despite knowing what he has done? Why are you going so far to be like him? Issei serious. Here goes nothing. Nero curious. Huh. It was then both demonic and draconic power began to gather around Issei until it covered his entire body, in which his body began to glow brightly, making everyone except for Vergil, Dante, Elsha, Belzerd, and Merlin cover their eyes. When the light went down, what they saw was demon covered in dark silver draconic scales with 4 dark silver and crimson red angelic wings. Those who never saw Issei in his demonic form or devil trigger were indeed in awe of the beauty and power, but Nero and Kiri saw something else. In front of Issei, they both couldn't help but see a mirage of another angelic-looking demon who they both knew and cared for but died long ago. Nero Kiri mind. Shocked. He looks just like Credo. Issei serious while pointing his sword at Nero. Alright Nero, time for me to get serious. Ddraig mind. Eyes half open while sweat dropping. When I said let's get serious, I meant going into the balance breaker. Face palms. Please don't tell me that he forgot he could go into the balance breaker already. I swear I truly do have an idiotic grandson. As soon as Issei said that, he quickly dashed towards Nero, who was barely able to react in time to block the strike, which resulted in a shockwave 10 times more powerful than previously, which caused the entire arena to shake a little. As Issei continuously began to strike Nero, he could notice the hesitation in his movements, and when he saw the look in his eyes, he could see that Nero's attention was not on the battle that we're having, which angered Issei greatly, which he responded by pouring a large amount of his demonic and draconic power into his next strike that sent Nero towards to the other side of the arena and his body hitting the wall. Before Nero could get up and get his bearings, Issei appeared in front of him and grabbed by the throat. Issei annoyed. Am I a joke to you? Nero confused. What? Issei annoyed. I said, am I a joke to you? Ever since I transformed, your head has not been in this battle. There is hesitation in your movements, and you've barely struck back. Enraged. Am I just that weak and pathetic to you that I'm not worth your effort? Nero confused. No, it's just. Issei annoyed. Just what? What is it that makes you not want to take this battle seriously? Answer me, Nero. Nero eyes widen. Looks away. When Issei looked at Nero's eyes, when he looked away, he looked at a feeling that he knew all too well, the feeling of guilt, the guilt of being too weak to protect someone he cared about. He had that exact feeling when he saw Asia die right in front of him when Raynor took away her sacred gear, the feeling of being so powerless to protect that you held dear felt like hell all on its own. Even though Asia essentially stabbed him in the back, the feeling he had during that night still lingered deep within his heart, and he didn't want that to happen to him again. But he knew from his fight with Vergil that you shouldn't lose focus in the midst of battle, since, if distracted for even a second, could spell death for you. The fact that Nero, who is not only related to Vergil but also a master swordsman himself that has no doubt fought in numerous battles and won without taking this seriously, was beyond insulting. It was then Issei tossed Nero to the side and began to walk away while deactivating his devil trigger, but he turned his head around and spoke his thoughts about Nero. Issei. Serious. You truly are pathetic, Nero. I would have thought as Vergil's son you would have the same mindset as him in battle. To never let your personal emotions get in the way of battle until the enemy is defeated, but you just stood there as if you saw a ghost or something. Nero. Eyes narrowed while looking down. Shut up. Issei. Serious. What was their name? Nero. Confused. What? Issei. Serious. Who was the person that you lost, the person you failed to save? Nero. Shocked. How did you? Issei. Serious. When you looked away from me I saw the look in your eyes, the look I know all too well. The feeling of being far too weak and powerless to protect someone important to you. Nero didn't say anything, but what Issei said was true. He did lose someone important to him, and that person was Credo, Kiri's older brother, who was once a member of the religion that worshipped Sparta as a god known as the Order of the Sword, before he found out about their corruption. But before he joined them, Credo was essentially like an older brother to Nero, always looking out for him ever since he was a kid, and despite always being scolded by him for his rebellious attitude, he still cared for him. When he died trying to save Kiri from Sanctus, it left Nero a deep trauma and sense of guilt in his heart because he blamed himself for not having the power to save his childhood friend and older brother figure, in which he swore he would become stronger and to let anyone he loved die again. But when he saw Issei in his devil trigger, he looked almost exactly as Credo did when he became an artificial demon, and all it did was bring back all the guilt he had, since it almost felt like a repeat of their fight. Issei. Serious. I take it that the silence means that I'm right. Nero. Eyes narrowed. Issei. Serious. And yet despite all this you still reject the truth that you've been trying to deny all this time, such a hypocrite. Nero. Eyes narrowed. What truth? Issei. Serious. That deep down you know that you are just like your father. Nero. Glares at Issei. I am not like him. Issei. Serious. Stop lying to yourself. You lost someone close to you, and from that pain your desire was to gain power to never let that happen again. Eyes narrowed. You don't think that's how Vergil came to be the person you knew him as? He lost someone close to him too, you know. Nero. Serious. Even so, that doesn't justify what he has done, all the people he killed, the lives he ruined. You just can't feel sympathy for him just because he lost someone close to him. That's just not how the world works. Issei. Turns his body around while glaring at Nero. And this is why I call you a hypocrite. Nero. Confused. What? Issei. Glares while pointing his blade at Nero. You don't realize that you were lucky that you still had Kiri to help hold you together. Don't think I didn't notice how you look at her. You treasure her immensely to the point you would give your life without any hesitation. So imagine the type of person you would have become if you also lost Kiri. Do you still think you would still be the same person you are right now? Nero. Serious. Issei. Eyes narrowed. And don't give me that bullshit that I would still be the same because she would want me to be strong and keep moving, because that is a lie, and you know it. Like you said earlier. Shit like that only exists in fairy tales because once you lose that one thing that brought meaning and light into your life, you will break. You will be broken beyond repair as you fall into the abyss, and when you come out of it, no one will recognize you, even yourself. Nero. Eyes narrowed. Issei. Serious. But I guess it can't be helped since I'm starting to see why you hate Vergil so much. Nero. Eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Issei. Eyes narrowed. You're afraid. Afraid that you'll become exactly like Vergil. When Issei said those words, Nero's heart sank. It was as if a deep feeling of dread and despair overwhelmed him as his breathing became rapid and his pupils become dilated. It was as if those words Issei spoke triggered a fear that was unknown to him, or to be more precise, it was a fear he tried to acknowledge or pretend it didn't exist. But when Issei's words repeated in ear, he began to wonder if he truly was going to become like his father one day, since he too desired to gain power just like him. But to what extent will he go to in order to obtain it? Would he sacrifice innocent people in order to obtain it? Nero. Eyes widen in horror. No. I will never be like him. Issei. Eyes closed. Good. Nero. Confused. Issei. Serious with eyes open. You should never be like your parents. Looks up to the sky. One of the duties as a child is to one day surpass their parents, to become better than they were in every way. Sadden. If not, then the cycle will forever continue, and no one will ever grow into the person they were meant to become. To become the very stars they were destined to become. Zenobia Elsha. Mind. Sadden. Issei. Serious. So it's okay for one to desire power. It's a natural instinct that every living being is born with. It doesn't matter who you are. The only thing that matters is what you do with that power, and you don't let that pursuit for power consume you entirely. Looks at Vergil. Like I said earlier, Vergil lost someone precious to him as well and went on a journey to gain the power he needed so that it wouldn't ever happen again, but the problem was that he went on that journey alone, and during that time, a part of him probably forgot who he really was and why he wanted to obtain that power in the first place. Perhaps if he had Dante by his side from the get-go, maybe things would have been different, he wouldn't have caused all those deaths, or perhaps he could have been the father that you needed him to be. Dante smirks while nudging Vergil. Well, look at that Verg, maybe you would have been such a grouch all the time if I just stuck by you in the beginning, huh? Vergil. Annoyed. I think I would have been tortured by Mundus again, then experienced what that life would have been like. Dante smirks smugly. Ah, come on, it would have been that bad. Vergil. Annoyed while deadpanning. Not only would you have spent any money we would have on constant junk food like pizza and sundaes, but no doubt on ridiculous red coats, or even worse on gambling. Not to mention I would no doubt have to bail you out in whatever trouble you got yourself into in the first place. Dante smiles nonchalantly. Well, you are the older brother, and it's the older brother's job to look after the younger one. Vergil. Annoyed while pinching the bridge of his nose. Then of course there is your luck with women, you are just lucky that you don't have some bastard child out there. Dante. Annoyed. Hey, give me a little credit, will ya? I know how to pull out, damn it. Vergil. Annoyed while pinching the bridge of his nose. The so-called pull-out method doesn't always work. Dante. Eyes narrowed. How the hell would you? Eyes widen. Oh. Smirks smugly. Ooh-oh. Laughs out loud. Ha, 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 ha. That's fucking hilarious, the almighty Dark Slayer has weak pull-out game. Vergil. Annoyed. Shut up. Dante. Laughs out loud. Or what? Would you cut me down with Yamato? Wait. Can you even pull that out now if you wanted to? Bonk. It was then both Vergil and Dante were smacked on top of the head, and when they saw who were the culprits that made them sweat a little, even Vergil had a slight expression of nervousness on his face. Towering over them with a menacing glare were Trish, Lady, and Elsha, who had their fists out and released quite a bit of bloodlust. Trish. Lady. Elsha. Annoyed. You do not say that stuff around women. Lady. Points at Zenobia. Especially when there is a young impressionable woman sitting just a few feet away from you. Belzard. Mind. Sweat drops with eyes half open. This is why I stay silent most of the time, since all it takes is just one wrong word and all hell breaks loose. This of course Zenobia became a bit of a red embarrassment since she felt now the attention was now sort of on her, to which Kiri noticed this and began to rub her back as to help calm her down and let her know that it wasn't her fault. Upon seeing the facial expression on the blue-haired girl's face, Vergil closed his eyes as he stood up from the stands and faced Zenobia. Vergil. Serious. I see, well in that case. Bose. Please forgive me for speaking such vulgarity in your presence. Everyone. Surprised. Huh. Dante. Surprised. Damn Verg, I would have never thought that you. Confused while being by the collar. Huh. Vergil. Serious while holding Dante down. I would also like to apologize for my younger brother's vulgar language. It would seem that despite being around other females, it would seem that he has not learned how to properly around the opposite sex. Dante. Annoyed. Hey. Vergil. Glares at Dante. Quiet, you. Dante. A bit nervous. Vergil. Stoic. Can you forgive us for making you uncomfortable, Zenobia? Zenobia. Nervous while waving her hands frantically. It's fine, I swear, believe me. I definitely heard worse when I attended Kuo from a lot of the boys. So please, you don't need to bow down to someone like me, it's really no big deal. Kiri. Whisper. Serious. Zenobia. Zenobia. Curious. Kiri. Whisper. Smiles. It is best that you forgive them or else they'll never let it go, believe me, since Nero would act the same way if he was in the wrong. Zenobia. Whisper. Stoic if you are sure. Zenobia. Stoic. I forgive you both. Vergil. Stoic. Thank you. Dante. Checks his neck. Ah. Yeah, sorry about that, I got lost with messing with Vergil, I totally forgot about my surroundings. All the while both Nero and Issei were indeed watching and listening to the interaction with a mixture of both surprise and embarrassment. But for Nero, he was indeed shocked to see his father actually bow his head in apology to someone who was severely weaker than him, since he always believed that Vergil he was never in the wrong, since he believed everything that he had done was justified one way or another. Upon seeing the expression on Nero's face, Issei had a soft smile on his face as he walked up to Nero. Issei. Smiled softly. I guess a leopard can change its spots, huh? Nero. Curious. What do you mean? Issei. Smiled softly. Well, you just saw it for yourself. If it was the old Vergil, then he would ignore the whole ordeal and think it wasn't his fault. But he took responsibility for his actions and apologized. If that is possible, then practically anyone can change, don't you think? Nero? Serious. HMPH. Don't think that just because he apologized to someone and made everything he did in the past go away. Issei. Serious. No, it wouldn't. There is nothing in this world that can undo what Vergil has done in the past. Not even the dragon gods can do anything about that, so the least he can do is accept what he has done and move forward. Nero. Eyes narrowed. Is that what you're trying to tell me? To apologize and accept my father despite everything he has done to not only me but also everyone else in this world. Issei. Serious. I'm not saying that it would be easy, but like the old saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Smiles softly. So I'm not saying you need to forgive him right away, but to at least try. Try to take that first step. Nero. Looks down while clenching his fist. I don't know if I can make that promise. Issei. Smiles softly while extending his hand. Then in that case I'll give you a hand. Nero. Surprised. Huh. Issei. Smirks. HMPH. What, no one said that you had to go on this journey alone? Nero. Surprised. Issei. Issei. Smiles. If you want to get through this journey you're going to need help, and you already have one person by your side that is willing to help you, so having more at your side will make the journey a bit easier. Nero. Surprised. Issei. Grins like an idiot. So come on Nero, how about we take that first step towards our goals? Nero. Surprised. Huh. Smirks while looking down. HMPH. Did everyone tell that smile like an absolute idiot? Issei. Smirks. All the time. Nero. Smirks. Well in that case. Takes Issei's hand. Knocking any sense into you would be pointless, won't it? Issei. Smirks. Yup, once I make up my mind there is nothing in either heaven or earth that will stop me. Nero. Smirks. Well, let's see if you can back up those words. Issei. Smirks. HMPH. As soon as Issei helped Nero get back up on his, he leaped backwards a few feet away from him, all the while transforming back into his devil trigger and pointing his blade at Nero. Issei. Smirks. So, now that you got over that little funk of yours, are you ready to take this fight a little seriously? Nero. Smirks. HMPH. Yeah, I'm all good now, besides if I want to take a crack at Vergil, I need to get past you, right? Issei. Smirks. That's right. Nero. Summons DSN and swinging it around. Well in that case I better hurry up and kick your ass to next week. Issei. Serious. Still not gonna turn into your demonic form? Nero. Smirks. HMPH. Now what kind of adult would go full force against a child? Issei. Mind. Sweats drops with eyes half open. Did he seriously unknowingly quote Madara Che? Nero. Smirks. And besides, it wouldn't be very honorable of me to just beat you down relentlessly. I mean, come on, I'm supposed to train you, aren't I? Issei. Smirks. Didn't you say that stuff like honor and chivalry only exist in fairy tales? Nero. Smirks with one eye closed. I have no idea what you are talking about. Issei. A bit annoyed with a tick mark. Don't lie to me, you literally said at the beginning of our fight that stuff like honor and chivalry are not necessary in battles because my enemies will not do the same for me. Nero. Casually looks away while smirking. I have no recollection of ever saying that ever. Issei. Annoyed while point his blade at Nero. You asshole, you totally said that. Great, now you're both a liar and deadweight. Nero. Annoyed with a tick mark. What did you say? Issei. Glares. You heard me. You're both a stinking liar and deadweight. Nero. Annoyed while pointing his blade at Issei. Take that back. Issei. Eyes narrowed. Make me jackass. Nero. Eyes narrowed. Why, you little. It was then with godlike speed Nero dashed towards Issei, with both their blades colliding, making the biggest shockwave that they made since their battle started. Both their aura and demonic power were rising to incredible levels. Issei, using his enhanced strength, pushed Nero off with his blade, in which he flew up into the air, in order to follow up with a dive bomb, heading straight towards Nero. But what Issei did not expect was that Nero would summon his blue ethereal wings and fly up to intercept Issei. Even his new ability to see a few seconds into the future, the white-haired boy did not have a plan to counteract this approach. Due to this action, Nero was able to deliver a precise upward slash across the right side of Issei's body, which cracked the visor and cut both his face and eye, causing him a great amount of pain. Issei. Roars in pain. AHH. Nero. Serious. I did say I was going to hurry up and kick your ass, didn't I? Don't worry, since you're in your devil trigger the wound should automatically heal rapidly, but will drain more and more of your demonic power. As Issei was falling towards the ground, he could feel his demonic power quickly draining away, trying to heal the wound he received from Nero. As he was falling, the white-haired boy was indeed annoyed, since he still wanted to fight more. Issei felt that he hadn't truly given it his all, but his body hardly responded. Issei. Mind. Annoyed. Damn it, not yet. I haven't made him use his full strength. I want to fight. I need to fight. Eyes narrowed. I need more power. Badump. Issei. Eyes widen in shock. Huh. When Issei heard heartbeat, he quickly turned to his left and saw his blade emitting an ominous dark silver and crimson red glow, to which the glow would flicker at the same rate as a heartbeat. Each time the glow of the blade would flicker, Issei's expression began to soften and had a look of understanding while staring at what his sword was trying to tell him, not in words but with emotions and feeling. Issei. Mind. Serious. I understand now. I understand what Dante and Vergil meant back in Office's vault. Flashback. Issei. Curious while holding DSI. So what exactly happened to Yamato and DSD? Vergil. Serious. They fused into becoming one sword, and since they came into direct contact with your soul, it is now a part of you in which that sword will be now known as DSI. Issei. Confused. DSI, why would the sword bear the same name as me? Dante. Smirks. You see, kid, when our old man created rebellion, Yamato, and the Force Edge, he poured a portion of both his power and soul into the blades, hence part of the reason why they are considered the strongest of demonic swords. Issei. Confused. Okay, but that still doesn't answer my question. Vergil. Serious. When you decide to wield a weapon, that weapon becomes a part of you, an extension of yourself, hence the part the sword is now a part of you. As you get stronger, so will your blade, and your blade will respond to what you truly desire. Issei. Confused. How will I know when my sword is responding to me? Vergil. Eyes closed. You will know when it happens. Issei. Tilts his head in confusion. Flashback end. Badump. Issei. Serious. I understand. I understand completely what I need to do in order to stand a chance. Dante. Mind. Grins. About time he heard it. Okay kid, show Nero what you're truly made of. Vergil. Mind. Eyes narrowed. He finally hears it. I must admit he is progressing a lot faster than what I anticipated. I guess fighting against an opponent who is no doubt not only stronger but also more experienced than him must help surpass his limits far faster than most warriors ever could. Which could only mean one thing: he is the type of fighter who gets stronger every time he survives a battle. Whether he wins or loses, he will naturally become stronger, just like a snake shedding its skin, in which it replaces all the weak and unnecessary tissues with healthier and stronger ones. Thinking. But with Issei, it's like he is almost constantly shedding his skin, though while the change is not extremely drastic, if one were to compare from who he once was to when he first started fighting Nero, I would say he has improved greatly in all aspects and is slowly still increasing more and more with each time he traded blows with Nero. Though while he still is very far away from reaching the level equivalent to Satan class, let alone either mine or Nero's level, it is safe to say that if he is progressing the way that he is going now, it wouldn't surprise me that he would reach Nero's level by the time he's in his early 20s. It's not only just his power growth, his ability to observe and adapt fighting styles just from first glance is indeed impressive. No doubt he unknowingly honed it from his years mimicking his favorite Super Sentai and anime characters. If practiced correctly, he will be able to quickly master both Dante and I's fighting style in half the time than we expected for him to learn just the basics. Smirks. HMPH. Honestly, that Gremory heiress was truly foolish to let this boy go. If she weren't so blinded by her own pride and arrogance, then she would have seen the limitless potential that he had and had trained properly, would had no doubt had been guaranteed the title as queen of the raiding games just by having him by her side. As Vergil finished his thoughts, Issei took a deep breath as he finally changed DSI into its twin dagger state, which indeed surprised those who did not know that his sword had two forms. But what shocked everyone next was that Issei deactivated his devil trigger, which revealed him having a sly smirk on his face as he was about to enact his plan. Issei. Smirks. Hey Nero. Nero. Curious with raised eyebrow. Issei. Smirks. Catch. But that said, Issei threw both his daggers right at Nero, which shocked everyone except for Merlin, Dante, and Vergil as to why he would throw away his weapon like that. Their concerns grew even more as Nero casually grabbed both blades with both hands, all while having a confused expression on his face. Nero. Confused. You know, I don't know about you, but it's usually not smart to throw your weapon at an enemy, especially if the enemy sees it coming. Issei. Smirks. Key. It was then Issei's hands began to glow in a deep crimson glow as chains made up of both demonic and draconic power that extended all the way up towards the pommels of the blades, which did surprise everyone who was watching. Before Nero could realize what was happening, Issei quickly wrapped his wrists around the chains and strongly yanked the chains towards him, causing not only Nero to fall towards him, but also repel Issei upwards. As the two white-haired individuals got closer to each other, Issei reeled back his right leg and just about to pass Nero, he drove his knee right under Nero's chin, causing his body to flip backwards with a bit of blood and teeth coming out of his mouth. Once that was done, Issei sprouted out his wings in order to keep himself in midair as Nero readjusted himself. Issei smirks. Looks I got you for that cut you gave me. Nero spits out blood and teeth. PFFT. Checks his jaws. Not bad, kid, not bad. You honestly had me fooled there. I genuinely didn't think your weapon had more than one form and be able to do something like that. Issei smirks. Thanks, but to be honest, I genuinely had no idea that it could do that either. Nero confused. Then how did you? Issei smirks while shrugging his shoulders. It just simply told me that it could do it and I did. Nero smirks. I see, so you also heard it as well. I must admit I'm a bit jealous since it took about a year after DSN was made in order to properly resonate with it. But you were able to resonate with your sword in only a short time you've had it and you've probably haven't noticed it yet, but I feel you've gotten a bit stronger since we fought. Issei surprised. Huh. Smiles sadly. Have I now? To be honest, I haven't really noticed, but I really don't deserve such praise. In fact, I'm the one who is jealous of you. Nero surprised. Jealous of me? Why? Issei looks away saddened. Smirks while pointing his blade at Nero. Beat me and I'll tell you. Nero a bit concerned. Issei smirks. Alright then, since you showed one of your tricks, I guess I should show you one of mine. Issei curious. It was then Nero moved DSN in a circular motion around his body, but as he moved the blade, blue spectral copies of the blade emerged until in front of Nero there was a volley of spectral demonic swords in front of him. Upon seeing it, Issei couldn't help gulp nervously since he knew it was already bad enough to deal with Nero with just using one sword, but knowing he had to deal with about half a dozen of them simultaneously will no doubt put him in a serious disadvantage, even with his clairvoyance. But the silver-haired boy would not back down because he had come too far to back out now, and if he couldn't take on this challenge now, then he would never be ready to face whatever threat that came his way. Nero smirks. There's no shame in backing out now. Issei smirks while sweating a bit. No way, I'm having too much fun because finally you're starting to take me seriously. Changes DSI into its katana form. Let's do this, Nero. Nero smirks. HMPH. Let's have some fun. But that said, both of them resumed their battle in the air, although it was still fairly one-sided, with Issei being the one with a massive disadvantage, not being able to counter every spectral blade coming at him, putting him on the defensive. But despite all of that, Issei was still smiling as well as Nero, since at the moment they were not concerned about winning, but simply having fun, like siblings playing a game. Upon seeing the interaction between the two males, Dante couldn't help but smile fondly as he spoke to Vergil. Dante smiles fondly. Well, this definitely brings back memories, doesn't it, Vergil? Vergil serious. As Vergil saw Issei and Nero battling it out, their appearance changed into that of two small children with white hair that he knew all too well. Dante memory smiles. Come on, Vergil, play with me. Vergil memory annoyed. No way. Dante memory smirks. This is it, this time I will finally beat you, Vergil. Vergil memory smirks with one eye open. Yeah right, you'll never beat me, Dante. Vergil eyes closed. Perhaps. Cling. Nero smirks. I don't know about you, Issei, but I think we've dragged this out long enough, don't you think? Issei grins. Oh, are you saying that you're finally running out of steam? Well, fat chance I'm not giving up until I force you to use 100% of your strength and not one less. Nero smirks. Sorry, but even though I said you've gotten stronger, you're still nowhere near to making me go all out. In fact, I'm not even using half my full strength. Issei shocked. You're not even using half your strength. Nero smirks. And you're already at your limit, so let's stop for now. You've already proven your worth, kid. Issei serious with his hair covering his eyes. No. Nero surprised. Huh. Issei grits his teeth. I'm not giving up, not yet. It was then Issei's body began to be covered in bright shining silver color, which caught everyone by surprise. The aura around Issei began to expand and grew extremely dense by the second, until hovering over Issei's body was that of a large massive silver western dragon, with glowing crimson red eyes staring menacingly at Nero. When Issei lifted his head, his eyes became slitted and were glowing the same deep crimson red color, but shocked everyone the most was that voice was also different. His voice became more draconic, but also felt like someone else was talking through him at the same time, to which both Zenobia and Ddraig recognized the voice that was overlapping with the silver-haired boy. Zenobia. Ddraig. Mind. Shocked. Malzeno. Issei. Serious. Not until I beat you, since if I can't beat you then I can never stop him. I can't stop the beast. Nero. Confused. Who's the beast? Zenobia. Mind. Thinking. The beast, what could he mean? Eyes wide in shock and horror. Wait, he doesn't mean the beast. Issei. Serious. If I don't stop him then she'll be set free and that's it for all of existence entirely. Nero. Confused. Kid, what are you talking about? Issei did not respond as he raised his right arm in which it glowed in flaming silver until it formed what seemed like a blade. Upon seeing it everyone was indeed in awe of the power radiating from the sword, as none of them knew that Issei was capable of summoning this powerful lady. Shocked. What is that? Zenobia. Confused. I don't know, but it looks and feels like light and holy power, but how is that possible? Issei is still a demon. Elsha. Shocked. It's neither light nor holy power, it's divine power. Merlin. Eyes widen in shock and amazement. It's stellar power, star energy. Everyone. Confused. Stellar power. Merlin. Eyes narrowed. Issei is the reincarnation of Malzeno, the true dragon god of hope and fate, but also known as Silver Dragon God Emperor of the Stars. So it's not far off to say that what we are seeing here is Issei drawing out Malzeno's power, the power over the very stars themselves. Lady. Shocked while pointing at Issei. Wait, this kid is not only the Sekiryuutei, but he's also a reincarnated dragon god, what the hell? Dante. Serious. I know it's a lot to take in, but right now I'm actually a bit concerned for the kid. Trish. Serious. How so? Dante. Eyes narrowed. Isn't it obvious Issei is not entirely there right now, his mind is sort of all scrambled due to Malzeno's mind being jammed up in his head. Issei. Serious. Sudorgansmdo. Star Dragon Sword. Bringing his right arm down in swift motion, Issei sent a massive wave of stellar energy towards Nero, who used his summoned swords in order to form a shield in front of him in order to help tank the incoming wave. The attack was so immense that it completely split the arena in half, as well as causing Merlin to cast multiple defensive barriers in order to protect everyone in the stand. Merlin. Smiles nervously while sweating a little. Such power. It's no wonder Malzeno was once considered the strongest dragon in the world to cause this much destruction from just a single attack, and he is still nowhere close to god class. Merlin. Mind. Smiles weakly. My goodness, and I thought Takaki was a monster, but I think Issei here might have beaten him in that regard. I honestly can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm both curious and terrified on just how strong Issei will become in the future. When the dust settled everyone could see that the shield that Nero constructed from his summoned swords, but he did not get out of it unscathed. His clothes were completely shredded and burned to the point that half of his upper body was exposed. Nero had a large cut on the left side of his body, with parts of his abdomen and his left arm filled with second-degree burns. But the part that made everyone worried about Nero was the fact that his wounds were healing as quickly as they should have. Kiri. Concerned. What's going on with Nero, why aren't his wounds healing? Vergil. Eyes narrowed. If I had to guess it has to do with that attack Issei just pulled off. Kiri. Confused. What do you mean? Belzard. Serious. The attack that Issei, no matter how you describe, had both light and divine power imbued into it, which is poisonous or even fatal to beings that represent evil like demons, vampires, or monsters in general. Kiri. Concerned. But Nero is only part demon, shouldn't he be somewhat resistant to it? Zenobia. Serious. In a lot of ways yes, since I've killed a few that are not entirely pure-blooded demon, and some have had built a bit of a resistance towards light and holy power. Dante. Eyes narrowed. Doesn't matter if you're full-blooded or not, the point being that if you have an inch demonic blood running through your veins, if you get attacked by something that was infused with holy and divine power, it's gonna hurt like hell. Right now that attack Issei just pulled must have done enough damage so that it's affecting Nero's accelerated healing. Kiri. Concern. Will Nero be alright? Vergil. Serious. As long as he doesn't get hit by another attack infused with stellar power, he should be able to pull through. Eyes narrowed. My worry is Issei, like Dante said, his mind is entirely there right now and being forcefully smashed together with Malzeno's, but the question is how did this happen? Zenobia. Mind. Concerned. Could it be? Nero. Mind. Winces in pain while breathing heavily. Damn it. What the hell was that attack and why didn't he use it earlier? Grunts in pain. GRR. Whatever it was, it's fucking with my healing, and my whole body feels like it's in pins and needles. Issei. Screams in pain. AHH. Nero. Curious while looking up. When Nero looked up he could see that Issei was holding his head in pain as he was flying around frantically, which did cause everyone who was watching, especially Nero, as to what was going on with the silver-haired boy. Nero. Concerned. Issei, what's wrong? Issei. Screams in pain. Too much. I saw too much. Nero. Confused. What do you mean, you've seen too much? Issei. In complete agony. The past. The present. The future. Everything coming together at once. Nero. Confused. What? Trish. Looks at Merlin. What does Issei mean by that? Merlin. Serious. Malzeno is the dragon god of fate, meaning he has the power to see the past, present, and future. Since Issei is Malzeno's reincarnation, he also has access to all of his abilities, but it seems he is somehow forcingly drawing out his abilities to the max. Belzard. Serious. In which his current body can't take, so if we don't stop this now then. Zenobia. Concerned. Then what? Belzard. Serious. He'll burn up both his mind and body to a crisp, and his soul will be damaged beyond repair. Zenobia. Covers her mouth in shock. Is there any way we can save him? Issei. Sadden. It's all my fault, Zenobia. Zenobia. Curious. Issei. Sadden. Don't you see, Zenobia, Remnant is in complete chaos because of my actions. This universe was doing just fine before I came along, sure the people were struggling, but they were still able to live another day, but now. I felt I dragged our world's problems into theirs. Zenobia. Serious. Issei, snap out of it. If you don't stop now you'll burn up and die. Issei. Sheds tears of sadness. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Arena, I failed you. Zenobia. Shocked and horrified. Issei. Sheds tears. I promised myself that I would protect you, that I would be there for you. Puts his head down. But I guess fate truly is cruel even for those who don't deserve it, because despite everything I did change myself for a better life, destiny, or even fate itself is hell-bent in making sure that I am the one who suffers. But why? Why it drag you into this? If I'm the one that is being punished then it should be me alone, no one need to suffer for whatever sins I committed, damn it. Zenobia. Sheds tears. Issei. Nero. Serious. Issei, snap out of it. Lady. Annoyed. Come on, Merlin, I thought you were some all-powerful and all-knowing wizard, isn't there something you can do to help stop Issei? Merlin. Panics while creating a magic circle. I'm working on it. There, that should do it. Ddraig, are you there? Ddraig. Panics. What, Merlin, what is it? Merlin. Serious. Ddraig, what is going on with Issei? He's going out of control. Ddraig. Annoyed. No shit, he's going out of control, it's complete pandemonium in his head. Merlin. Serious. Is there a way for you to reach him so that he can regain his senses? If this keeps up his entire being will be burned to a crisp. Ddraig. Annoyed. What the fuck do you think I've been trying to do? But I can't reach him for the life of me, it's like there is a massive hurricane that stretches almost infinitely that I can't penetrate, and it's blocking my connection to Issei. Issei. Roars in pain. Ahhhhh. Merlin. Eyes narrowed. Damn it. Trish. Serious. Merlin, isn't there something else that we can do in order to bring Issei back? Merlin. Thinking. Merlin. Mind. Thinking. If it's anything similar to essentially entering an incomplete juggernaut drive then maybe. Zenobia. Serious. Merlin. Looks at Nero. Curious. Merlin. Serious. You need to defeat Issei to the point he is essentially unconscious, that should at least stop him from going berserk. Nero. Serious. Do you seriously think that would work? Merlin. Serious. It's the only option we got right now, if you don't hurry Issei will burn up and die. Nero. Annoyed. Damn it. Looks at Issei. Alright then, I'll do it. Vergil. Serious while standing up. I'll join in and. Nero. Serious. You stay right where you are. Vergil. Serious. Nero. Serious. This is still my fight, so I'm going to be the one that ends it. Vergil. Stoic. Sits back down. Very well then. Dante. Shocked. Wait, are you serious, Vergil? Vergil. Stoic. You heard Nero, he said that he will handle it. Dante. Serious. Vergil. Eyes closed. If you want to join in and help, I won't stop you, but I have complete faith in my son in saving Issei's life. Everyone was taken back by Vergil's words, since they never thought the ever so cold-hearted and stoic swordsman would ever say something so encouraging to someone else. The one who was the most affected was indeed Nero, as he felt his chest tightened a bit as a new feeling he had never felt before began to wash over him, though he made sure to show it so as to not make everyone worry about him. But the new feeling he was experiencing was something that every son desires, and that feeling was pride, the pride of their father being proud and having complete faith in their abilities, which was something Nero never truly had. Dante. Stoic. Smirks. HMPH. Casually puts up his feet. Well, in that case, if you're being this calm about it, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem for Nero to handle. Issei. Roars in pain. AHHH. Dante. Sweat drops. Or at least I hope so. Issei. Roars in anger. Adam. Everyone. Confused. Huh, who's Adam? Issei's aura then shifted from a shining silver to a deep dark crimson red, with his hair following suit as he descended to the ground. But the part that made everyone on edge was the nature of his aura, in which it was the total opposite from when he used either Malzeno and Ddraig's aura, the presence that everyone was feeling dark, so dark, as if they being pulled into an eternal abyss that they can never escape from. There was also much rage coming from him, so much wrath that even Dante, Vergil, and Nero's skin felt was about to burn to ashes. Nero. Surprised. Issei. Issei. Glares in anger. You will pay for what you did, Adam. You took Irina away from me. Places hand over chest. She is. Saddened. She was. Roars in anger. You have robbed me of my priceless treasure, and for that you must pay. Nero. Shocked. Issei, no, snap out of it. It was then the boosted gear appeared on Issei's left arm, but something appeared on Issei's right arm, in which glowing brightly appeared a tattoo of what seemed a dragon's head of Aztec design. Merlin. Mind. Curious. What is that? But Merlin was snapped out of his thoughts when both him and everyone else heard a call from the gem of the boosted gear that no one had ever heard before. Welsh Dragon Aster Scale Male. It was then a large spiral of both crimson red and shining silver flames engulfed Issei, as everyone could feel the immense power and heat coming from him. When the flames died down, the silver-haired boy was in balance breaker, but it was not the same armor that previous wielders of the boosted gear donned on or Vergil fought against. What they saw was indeed a dragon armor, but the shading of red was closer to that of a crimson red, with it also being less bulky and being more form-fitting to the point it seemed almost organic. But also the armor had dark silver accents throughout the armor, which Merlin believed was a combination of both a bit of Office and Malzeno's power, influencing the power of the boosted gear. Either way, the armor in front of them was indeed imitating, and the aura and power it exuded was indeed far more powerful than what the power of the boosted gear scale mail was supposed to release, but nowhere on par if Issei were to use the Juggernaut drive. Issei. Serious. You will pay for the sins you've committed here today, Adam, that I swear, your madness will end now. Nero. Serious. Issei, I'm not Adam, you need to snap out of it. Whatever that you are seeing right now, it's not real. But unfortunately for Nero, his words fell on deaf ears as Issei quickly blitzed towards the white-haired man with godlike speed, to which Nero was barely able to dodge in time. But within that fraction of a second of dodging Issei's attack, he quickly grabbed the silver-haired boy's right arm and used it to pull him closer as he sent a devastating punch at the center of the armor, which he felt break a bit from the impact and caused the body to hunch upwards, as Nero could both see and hear a bit of blood of being coughed up from the helmet. But the white-haired boy was not done as he cocked back his left fist and delivered an uppercut underneath Issei's chin, which he followed it up with a demonic power-infused roadhouse kick at Issei's chest, which sent him flying and crashing to the other side of the arena. Nero. Serious. I'm sorry, Issei, but you're honestly leaving me with no choice here. Zenobia. Concerned. Issei, are you? Nero. Serious. Stay where you are, Zenobia. Zenobia. Confused. Huh. Nero. Eyes narrowed. He's not out yet. Just as Nero said, Issei began to get up, though struggling from the attack that he received from the white-haired man, as he was still coughing up a bit of blood. But Issei's tone changed once again as he now sounded more disappointed, but also held a bit of sadness. Issei. Serious. You need to stop this, Makoto, don't you see that we are essentially hastening Remnant's destruction? Please, if there is any part of the old me that is inside you, then you should know that this is wrong, and that the people do not deserve to experience the horrors of our world. Sadden. Let go of this hatred of yours, do not let our past dictate this world's fate. Zenobia. Mind. Curious. Who's Makoto? Merlin. Mind. Thinking. A part of the old me, could he be talking about the manifestation of the version of himself that would have become an evil dragon? It was then Issei's body glowed once again, but now it was a mixture of both crimson red and shining silver, as 3 copies of Issei in his armor appeared right next to him. The scene shocked everyone, even though they knew that there was magic out that allowed someone to make copies of themselves, with the most famous being Sun Wukong, being able to make thousands of clones of himself. But still, clone magic as a whole is a very complex and difficult form of magic that not even most gods could completely master. The fact that Issei, who was never skilled in magic in the first place, was able to pull such a complex form of magic, such as this was indeed something to behold, and made them wonder just how far will Issei grow in strength, how strong will he be in just a month, a year, a century. From unlocking the seals placed upon him at birth, as well as becoming a demonic dragon on top of wielding a longinus that holds infinite potential, they began to wonder if there would be truly anyone in this or any other universe that would be able to match him once he reaches his peak. Issei. Serious. My fate is what I make of it, no one decides how my story ends, and I will prove it to you. By defeating the part of me that is you. Boost 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 streak boost 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 boost. As Issei continued to boost his power beyond his limits, which concerned everyone greatly since they could sense that was now starting to burn his own life force in order to perform whatever attack he was about to perform. They could see that both him and his clones were gathering stellar power, combined with both Ddraig's power and the mysterious crimson aura he released earlier around his hands, forming a sphere. The three spheres slowly began to move closer to one another until they merged into a large singular sphere. Elsha. Concern. Issei, you need to stop, you're starting to burn through your life force, if you keep this up you'll die. Issei. Serious. It's time to end this. All Isseis. Serious. Kurimyazansador Gunkinen. Crimson Star Dragon Cannon, X3. With that call, the large sphere turned into a beam of destructive force, similar to when Issei uses his dragon shot. Nero could sense the power in that attack, and that if he got directly hit by it, that he would be in some serious danger, and as such, he summoned more blades to his side in order to block the attack, as well as covering himself with his demonic power, but even then he believed it would not be entirely enough. Merlin, sensing the power output of Issei's attack, made another multiple layers of defensive magic circles, with Elsha adding her own defensive magic circles in order to help add extra support. Nero. Mind. Eyes narrowed. Something tells me that this is not gonna be enough. Well, Issei, one or another, looks like you're going to get what you've asked for since we started, just try not to die, will ya? As Nero was being engulfed by the large beam, everyone in the stands, with the exception being Dante, Vergil, and Belzerd, who remained stoic upon seeing the attack completely destroying half of the arena. When the beam finally died down, the arena was in complete shambles with smoldering burns where the path of the beam hit, with rubble falling and landing on the ground. At the center there was a giant pile of smoke where Nero stood, and Issei standing on the other side on one knee, panting heavily, with his clones also disappearing. Kiri, who saw this, became completely worried and wanted to go down there to see if Nero was alright, but was quickly stopped by both Zenobia and Lady, telling her that it was still too dangerous. Issei. Saddened. I'm sorry that it had to come to this, but there is only way all of this madness could end, brother. Nero. Smirks. HMPH. Quite talking as if you already won. Everyone except Dante and Vergil. Surprised. Huh. Vergil. Smirks. I knew that it would take a lot more than that to kill him, I expect nothing less from my son. Dante. Grins. So he's finally taking off the kitty weights. Issei. Eyes narrowed. Nero. Smirks. What's wrong, you seem upset. Is it because you thought that flashy attack of yours didn't finish the job? Well, I will admit that the attack indeed packed quite a punch, but still not enough to fatally wound someone like me. When the smoke finally disappeared, what emerged was a demon that was covered in blue demonic stone scales, with two red scaled pauldrons on its shoulder. He had glowing blue eyes with white hair that resembled wings of an angel on the sides of his head and waist. His most notable feature were his 4 blue energy wings with demonic hands at the ends. The amount of demonic power that it was releasing was truly unbelievable, to the point that even Zenobia, who before even becoming a demon was confident enough to go up against low-tier high-class demons, was scared stiff upon sensing the amount of power he was releasing. Zenobia. Mind. Sweating profusely. This amount of demonic power is unreal, not even Issei was able to release this power when he transformed. Is this the power of a descendant of Sparta? Vergil. Mind. Smirks. You've truly grown, Nero, in the years that I've been gone, though you two still have quite a ways to go before becoming an actual match for me. Nero. Serious. It's time to end this, Issei, before it's too late. Issei. Smirks. HMPH. Nero. Confused. Huh. Issei. Smirks. It's been about what? 2 years technically since we last fought seriously, eh, Nero? Nero. Confused. 2 years. Issei. Smirks. I will admit that I lost last time due to me going berserk and not knowing how to use my abilities, but this time it's different. Points at Nero. This time I'll show you how much stronger I've gotten in the last year since I've been here and beat you. Nero. Serious. Issei. Issei. Smirks. Well, like Dad always said. gets into a battle stance. Let's have some fun. Vergil. Mind. Eyes narrowed. Wait a minute, when he said dad did he mean? Was this what Merlin meant about the path not taken? Dante. Mind. Grins while looking at Vergil. Ha ha ha. Fucking called it, looks you unknowingly adopted the kid huh, Verg. Smiles fondly. Maybe this kid will bring out the man that you were supposed to become rather than the man you had become. It was then Issei charged forward Nero at blinding speed, although Nero did nothing and just stood there as a part of him felt a bit saddened because he felt the excitement in the silver-haired boy's voice like a younger brother ready to play with his older brother. He remembered how he would act like that sometimes with Credo when he was younger, and even though he didn't want to admit it, Nero couldn't deny that he did see similarities between him and Issei, but unfortunately for him he felt his path took a darker turn than his and now it was the time to change it around before it was too late. As Issei got closer to Nero, it felt as time seemed to slow down drastically since to someone like Nero, Issei was essentially running while in the water, slow and heavy. Nero. Mind. Sadden. I'm really sorry kid that it has to end this way, to be honest, I would have loved to end this fight until one of us lost consciousness. Smiled sadly. Even though I would still win. But from what I've seen from you I think I understand. I sort of see why my dad admitted defeat to you, you're more stubborn than he'll ever be in any lifetime, but not only that you're a good person with what I see to have a righteous heart. You never back down against anyone, it doesn't matter if they are stronger than you, or even if they are God. Chuckles. I swear you're like a soldier, always ready to fight for what you believe in no matter the cost. I promise to make up this fight for you, perhaps in the next 2 years like you just said, because if you're anything like me, then you're seriously going to be annoyed about losing the way you did right now, and demand for a rematch even if you don't show it. Just as Issei was just about a few inches away from reaching Nero, the white-haired man in question held his right hand flat before cocking it back, which he followed by thrusting it into Issei's right abdomen, causing the armor to completely shatter. Issei's eyes widened in shock as spitted out a pint of blood from his mouth as his body began to slouch down, in which Nero caught him in order to not hit the floor. Thankfully Nero was able to aim at a non-vital organ in order to make sure he didn't accidentally kill the silver-haired boy, which seemed to work as he could sense Issei's power dropping rapidly. Nero also took the extra precaution of using other hand to send a little bit of his demonic power to Issei to help kick up his regenerative abilities. As Issei slowly began to lose strength, his hair that for some reason turned crimson began to revert back to the shining silver color that he had before, with the tip still being a bit of crimson red. Issei's eyes also began to get heavier, signifying that he was about to fall unconscious. He used the last bit of his strength to hug Nero, which did catch the white-haired man a bit off guard, but what shocked him most of all is what Issei said before passing out. Issei. Smiles weakly. Even though our time was short, I was truly happy, Nero. Even though we're not related by blood, you've been the best older brother that a perverted loser like me could ever ask for. That is why I will not lose this battle. I promise you that both Credo and Maria will wake up to a better tomorrow. Even if it means that I won't probably be there for you all to see it. Nero. Mind. Shocked. Wait a minute, Credo, Maria, if I remember correctly when Kiri said that when we had kids we would name them. Issei. Smiles weakly. But at least do me the favor and tell them how cool and badass their uncle was, will ya? I don't want them to see their uncle as some perverted deadbeat who was never there for them. Goodbye, Nero Nai. With those final words the glow in Issei's eyes faded as he closed them, rendering him unconscious as Nero reverted back to his human form. With the mayhem finally, everyone in the stands rushed over to the two men to see how badly they were. All the while Merlin was thinking about some of the things Issei said when he was forcefully fused with Malzeno and couldn't help but feel that this great catastrophe that Issei must face is only the tip of the iceberg. Merlin. Mind. Serious. There is only that Issei could be referring to when he mentioned about the beast, which that alone could spell the end of the world if it's somehow destined to be released. But the real dangerous mystery of who she is, which could only imply that someone much worse will be released if the beast is not stopped or at least be prevented from being released from the first place. Sighs. Looks up in the sky. Fate truly is cruel. Even for those who do not deserve it. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.